Asif heard me.
But does Asif need to say something?
No, he answered me already.
Did he say no? He said no, he did not have a desired outcome?
Asif.
No, I said it is already there.
Okay, so if we have desired outcomes, the facilitator should read them. So, Lucy, could you read out the desired outcomes or ask the note taker to read out the desired outcomes that already exist?
Okay. The first desired outcome, getting more organized as a team. Conflict evolution. Review sector budgets. Jan/Feb that were on Substock. Finalize verification of week 1 payroll. Timeline of the proposal. Week 3, start 11 week. So we should make sure we get agreement on that. Substock. Review team goals and priorities. Outcome that are there. Anything missing? Anyone need to add anything on our desired outcome? Yeah, good to go.
So the first thing I would say that isn't... Oh, wait. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So there's a couple things that are not desired outcomes here. But that's okay. Also, you guys want to prioritize conflict evolution before the budget and all the other stuff? Is that correct? Do we want to put a time block on that, like 40 minutes? I'm changing the conflict evolution desired outcome to move forward with the conflict evolution needs. Okay? So, you guys want to do the conflict evolution first?
Yeah, for me, it's better to do it after.
Asif? Can you say that again, Asif? Can you guys hear Asif? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, but can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you. I can hear now. So what do we decide? Do we want to do the conflict evolution first?
No, later.
Afterwards?
After. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so let's start with the budget. How about that?
Okay. On that subject.
Whoa. We're not on any subjects. We are doing the agenda review.
I just wanted to know if Asif saw the Skype that came through on Kobo about his budget just now. That's all. All right.
Joe, do you want to do payroll before conflict evolution?
Yeah. No.
No? Okay. Timelines on proposals. For through, that's kind of left over from before. That should be pretty quick. So why don't we do that real quick?
Yeah.
This should be like 5 minutes. Our proposals, although there are other proposals that need to get done. Training for Cap V, that will be an other. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good.
Okay.
So any other priority topics? Or that's the only thing that we have for now? Okay, let's move then. If you guys agree on these topics, let's begin with the group team setup, or that is done already.
Correct. 10 minutes for this, starting now.
Sharing team verification. Which one? Are we starting with the group team setup, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay.
So does anyone want to look over the global core? This would be our steering team
right now.
Yeah. So you want to go through it, Steve?
Sure. So number one is create the team verification. That's already done. Yes, it's green. Number two is the steering team doc. That's done. It's green. The global master priority spreadsheet. That's done. It's green. The decisions doc is green. The global master responsibilities list is green. And yes, the topics and task lists are both green. Add main docs for each sector senior manager. We still need Mozzie's unless somebody put it on. It says no Mozzie's required. So if nobody put on Mozzie's main doc, that needs to be done. On the global steering team doc, I guess we need to get Mozzie's doc put up on there. Can somebody take that on as a task? Hello?
I can hear you.
Can somebody take on any Mozzie's?
Where, Steve?
I would guess it goes on the steering team doc.
Number 9, please.
Since this is this global steering team responsibility, I'd guess it go on the steering team doc. Main session doc, it says optional until you have your super team doc. Too complicated. So how complicated our global steering team doc is, whether we need to have a separate doc for the main sessions yet. But if we do, I'll gladly do it. That's not a big deal.
I think we're okay for now.
All right. Create a template super team doc one time. Has it been done by anybody?
Well, I don't think that's applicable to the steering team. I think we already have a steering team doc, so I think we're fine.
Yes, we do. Positions list.
I think we have a positions list. Is it linked?
It's not linked on here. It's still red, and it's not linked on here. Let me. Is it on the doc? Let me see. At the top of the doc. I don't see it at the top of the doc. If we do have it, I don't know where it is. So we need to either find the positions list or get the position or make one and link it. Create a voting form as needed. That's, it's anytime we need it. And we have an email group list. I do have to get in touch with people and make sure that everybody is fine with us using their email publicly, and I will task myself to do that over the next week or so. Me and Jay have talked about it before, and there's other things came up. I never got to it, but I will get to it over the next week and ask people if it's okay if we use their emails or if they want to use a different email or their contact information, if it's fine that it's publicly available. If they're using their private email for, work and they don't want to make it publicly accessible, then they'll have to give us another one that can be open to the public. Sound right, Jay?
Sound good.
And I will take care of that. I will get in touch with people this week. Not a big deal. That's the entire list.
Well, that's
out of
just the
out
task
of
list.
13 things, we're
Uh,
about
Steve?
50-50. 7 are green and 7 are green, 5
Steve?
are red, and 1 is yes.
Those are just the tasks.
Right now we're going to the responsibilities. Abilities starting at the top. The budget says 75%.
Maybe it's down a little bit because we have to get the budget updated, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that
So maybe
today.
60%, maybe 60% deliverables, documentations. Nothing's happening. It's still red. Scheduling, we're pretty good at. I don't know. Is Sonic
5
schedule?
minutes left for this topic.
All right, is Sonic schedule with any level 4 buddy teams? If it's not, then we're not at 100%. We're at about 80 or 90%. Session support, I guess about 50%, maybe 60% is right. We're not doing evaluation and accountability. We are maybe at 10%. If anything, team identity, I think we're a little better than 60% on team identity. We might be more like 75. 65, you think? Okay. Training.
I feel like we have to do a lot more training because
we have a lot of new stuff.
There's a lot of new stuff going on. Yeah.
All right. Project management systems.
I'm doing a little bit on that. I'll be at a 5.
A little bit, maybe 10%, 5, 10, right? Systems and processes, we're a little better than 15, I think. And systems and processes, we're gonna have a lot of new ones with the new work. Did I miss one? I'm sorry. I skipped one. Task responsibility delegation. It says 35%. Recruitment. Our Achilles heel. It is. I'm not wrong when I say that.
Yeah, well, our goal is to recruit people who are literally their only focus is to help with recruitment and outreach.
Right.
Yes.
So I guess 60-70% is about right. I mean, we still need some people all over the Americas, so it can't be much more than that.
All right, well, let's put it at 55%.
All right, material organizing.
So I think...
Sorry for a question. We are only hiring for headquarters, right?
No. Oh, the whole world.
Nope.
Especially the Americas.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, so I think that we should stop around here. I think this is a good update.
All right.
You know, I mean,
projects?
Huh?
Are we doing projects?
No, we don't need to do projects.
Okay.
Projects are too big.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think it's fine to stop there. I mean, that was a good update on where we currently are at as a team. We have a long ways to go. But we have too many other things that we need to get to today to do it forever. You know, we'll get back to it.
All right.
We hit all our top priorities.
Yep. All right. I'm not facilitating, so.
Okay. What's the next topic, Lucy?
But
yes, I am all of a sudden. You know.
Budget. Joyce, I think we would pass it over to Joyce for the budget.
Yes, Jay, for the updates from our past New Moon session, we said that fully approved budgets are the Cobalt, Andromeda, Phoenix, and Hydra. And then also the one remaining not passed on soft stuff were Fulcrum budget, which they already passed. They already fixed their budget and they passed on their main weekly session. This Zuri budget, Zuri team budget, and Sonic budget are also on soft stop. And so for Zuri budget, they already passed. They passed a positive $232, but after the budget was passed, the main body team, Lucy and James, changed their budgets from 400 to 450 for Lucy and 250 to 300 for James. And for Sonic, for Sonic budget, they already made the budget and passed on their Sonic main weekly session. That's the update, Jay. And these are the budgets for the America. Wait. Am I on? Sorry. I'm not on shared screen. So the budgets for America and the budgets for the old load are here also. The document.
Okay, so let's start with the Sonic team. Did the Sonic team approve their budget?
Yes.
Okay, so are there any
Yes.
concerns about the Sonic team budget? Okay, so let's go. I think we're good on the Sonic team, so let's just add the Sonic team to the list of finished budgets. Do you remember whether there was it was over or not? Or is it balanced?
Yeah, it's balanced. Left over 600.
Okay. And then Zuri, let's address this issue. So let's hear from Lucy and James. Are you guys at 400 or in 250 or 450 and 300?
Jay?
Yeah.
Okay. During the Euroafrica session last week, I decided to change my budget, and before I did that, I actually asked the members if I can still change it, because like me and Lucy, we were yet to vote on the budget, and I requested the permission from the members, and they were like, "Okay, you can do the changes."
Okay. So does anyone here know the budget process for changing budgets?
I do.
All right. Anyone else besides Steve? Because I know Steve likes to try to pressure other people to say things. Otherwise, we'll go to Steve. Anyone else want to try to?
Don't say it like that. Pressure other people. I'm not trying to.
Oh, I like to pressure other people. Come on, guys. You guys step up. This is nothing new. We've been talking about this for 8 months.
I think once the budget is I think once the budget is approved, we can propose it on before 1st of every month, and after that we cannot change the budget, I think.
Yeah, so it's technically now the full moon. So and then your main buddy has to approve it. So my question is, did you guys propose these changes before the full moon 6 weeks ago, right? It would not have been the last full moon, it was the full moon before that. And then was that approved by your buddy, your main buddy? Does that make sense, Steve? Is that correct? That makes sense, Asif and Steve? That's the correct policy, right?
All right. Although we have made exceptions and done it at the before the current full moon. Normally it's 2 full moons back.
We rarely have exceptions, and usually the exceptions are just advances or something like that.
Yeah.
So the question to James.
Stop it.
The question to James and Lucy is, did you guys approve this at the full moon 7 weeks ago? And because that was the deadline, and then was the approval made by your main buddy team?
No, we did not add the budget 7 weeks ago because we thought maybe we will have a negative. Then before we approve the budget, we discussed with the James on if we can add our budget later if there's some balance. So James come and request, and Albina says there is no problem. You can just add. I don't know. Again, I saw on the message that no one was asking.
It was
we just add the budget, James
Okay,
was
so
asking.
I thought
right?
saying for February, March. That is the thing.
Can you
Because
allow me? Okay, continue then.
they came when we had passed already in the main session. Then I thought James was asking for February, March. Even I sent him a message. if it is for January, February, it is going to be possible because we already passed our session.
Okay.
So if it is for February, March, then it is okay. But for January, February, it will be possible.
Okay, so my next question is like, can someone link the main buddy budget proposal for James and Lucy? And then from there, the question simply is like, you know, if this is for simply a requested budget, right? If it's part of your requested budget, then I think it's a pretty much, you know, simple. If you're asking for more than the requested budget, then I think Albina might be right. You might need to wait a month before it is applicable. So can someone link the main buddy budget proposal? If you guys don't have a main buddy budget proposal, it's like a null issue and we're moving on. Because without that, it's like, it's not even worth our time. Because that's a requirement. In fact, our current policy is that if people do not have main buddy team budget proposals, that they get their lowest and that's it, and we would move on.
Oh, there we go. It looks like something's on the sheet.
But can someone link it to the meeting notes here under Missouri team? Does anyone see the link?
I'm looking at the doc on somebody's page, but I guess on Jay's, but
we want to link the main buddy team budget proposal. Does it exist? Who has it?
Yeah, it does exist.
For Lucy and
I
James.
didn't link.
Okay, great. All right, let's take a look. Oh, this is good. So we are looking for January, February. It says 750.
no.
That's excellent. All right, so January, February, requesting 450. Well, this is confusing. Why does it say 450 and 600? Huh.
This is the time when you said, Abdul said, if you put that, I don't know. It was the calculation for Abdul last time. I don't understand.
Is Abdul here? I mean, you just need to put the specific time. I mean, that you can show the calculation for full time, but it's not part of your proposal. So you don't need it at every single one. It's kind of odd to do that for every single one.
Okay.
All right, so Lucy, I don't see James. Where's James? Or am I missing something? Oh, here's James.
Down there.
James here. All right, let's see. So this would be January, February, 300.
10 minutes into this subject.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I mean, both of those look correct. So then the only other thing we would do is just confirm the date of the full moon, which was, do you guys remember the full moon? Was it December 27th or something?
Yeah.
Full moon in December 2017. So the full moon was December 3rd. Okay, that makes sense? Does everyone understand? Does everybody understand?
Yes. Yeah.
So here we have January, February 650. And we have January, February 400 for Lucy. And no, that's James. James is not here at all. December, January, 300. So it's 300 and for January, February, it's 400. So what it says here is December 1st, right? By the December 3rd deadline, you have Lucy 400, James 300. And are you guys changing your hours? Let's see. So this goes for 20 hours. And if we go back a month, it's still 20 hours. So it looks to me like Lucy's been at 400 for a while. James is going from 250 to 300 with an increase of 25 hours. So this is an increase of 5 hours per month. Okay. So do you guys see how it's possible to verify all that information? That was kind of like training. You guys see that?
That's awesome.
You know, so there's no question into what the facts are and the data is in relationship to the specific proposals by the specific deadline. And so we know exactly what people are proposing. There's no need to even consider anything other than that because we can just verify it. It's all verified. Does anyone disagree with this verification? All right, so it looks like we have agreement on the verification. So now we just vote. So the proposal, we'll do James and Lucy separately since they're different. So the proposal is to include James in the budget for $300 per month at 25 hours per week. So are there any questions about that proposal?
No, not here. And we got 1 minute left to this subject.
Great. All right. Any concerns with the proposal for James? All right. So questions, none. Concerns, none. Are there any objections to James's proposal? Okay, so we have consensus on James. So the only other thing I want to verify on Lucy is her change in budget. So Lucy is saying that she is increasing her budget to $450 for 20 hours. There's no increase in hours. So James is increasing his hours by 5 hours, whereas Lucy has no increase in hours. So
we complete the time for this subject.
All right, thank you. To include James in the budget for 300 months hours, so there's an increase of $50 for 5 hours. And this would be an increase of $50 for 0 hours. Does everyone understand the proposal? Are there any questions about the proposal for Lucy? Any questions for the proposal for Lucy? None?
No.
Okay. Are there any concerns? I obviously have a concern that it's, one, it wasn't done by the deadline, not by deadline, and also that it's increasing money without an increase in hours. So you can also just simply do that by doing output. So if you actually complete work and do output, you can get bonuses, you know, so you can get paid as much as you want if you just complete the work and do the work. So those are my concerns. So we're going to do a roll call vote on this one since there's concerns. Are there any additional concerns? Okay, so let's start with Asif. You can vote by number 0 to 9, or I'm gonna vote like I don't know, 4.3, I guess. Asif, do you want to vote? Miguel, Jocelyn, Joyce?
Yes, I will go for 5.3. Yeah, 5.
Miguel? Joyce? Steve?
4.
Steve?
5.
Mazi? Albina?
5.
Albina?
4.
4. James? And Lucy?
6.
James, did you vote?
Yes, 6.
6. And Lucy?
I'll abstain.
Abstain. Good. That's a good one. Abstain. Anyone else? Anybody? Miguel, did you vote?
I got one question. The issue here is that the budget was not.
There was just some confusion about.
Correct.
There was confusion in the Zuri team on the vote on the budget regarding Lucy and James's pay. So if the Zuri team had voted correctly and done it all during the meeting, then this wouldn't even be his issue. So because the Zuri team had some confusion, we're just addressing it here at the meeting to get it done with. But we technically could just send the budget back to them and give them a soft stop or a hard stop, but we might as well just get it all done right now. I would say from this vote, Miguel, did you want to vote?
Yeah, I was talking about to see what's the issue. They don't present this budget in the right time, right?
Well, the budget was approved, and then after it was approved, there was changes to the budget that were reflected based on the interests of Lucy and James getting paid more money.
Okay. And they didn't follow the procedures to change the budget.
Well,
right?
I mean, it's a little more complicated than that. They tried to follow the procedures. Obviously, James updated his budget December 1st, whereas Lucy didn't quite update it. But either way, they both obviously have been talking about this for a while and are interested in increasing their budget. So, you know, it's not like terrible, but it has to be approved, right? So unless it's approved, which it wasn't approved at the Zuri team, it's not in the budget. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm 5 in this.
5. Okay, cool. So someone can average this. I mean, I think what we're going to end up here is going to be about 5. It really needs to average 5.5 or above to be a proposal that barely passes. So I think we're going to actually end up with something a little under 5. So either way, it's probably not going to pass. So the overall proposal would just be simply to approve the Zuri budget with the no change to Lucy's and the change to James, and then both Lucy and James can change their budgets for the next moon month. At the full moon is the deadline, and they get 6 weeks, and you can change it to whatever you want. So I think
we have
that's
5 minutes overdue this subject.
So are there any objections to? I think it's about 5 to 5.3. I don't know. I didn't get a 4.8. You said
4.8. Yes.
Okay, 4.8. All right. So approve Zuri budget with James at 300, Lucy at 400. Are there any objections to that? Okay, cool. So I think we're good on that. So Zuri has approved budget. They're good to go. Everyone gets paid. Yay. Woohoo. All right. So then the last thing is the new world budget and the old world budget. So we just update this to make sure it's correct. So Old World, we have Lucy and James. 300 plus 400 is 700. So this is going to be $700. Okay. And that should be all the updating needed. So the proposal would just simply be to pass the proposal to approve the Old World and New World budgets for the 146 degree moon month, and this is January, February. Okay. Are there any objections to that? Any questions or concerns with the proposal? Are there any objections? Okay, so it passes by consensus. So cool, we have a budget for the month. That's good. So we were a week late on that. Hopefully next month we'll be on time. But this is good. Yeah, and I think it's good just to go through the process, and see how the process works when there's questions and issues about the budget. Budgets are kind of cool because they can be verified. Yes, Miguel.
Yes, sorry, I am adding the figures.
Yeah.
Average is 4.2.
Okay, 4.2.
Somebody confirm that? Yeah, somebody can confirm with me.
All right. Well, anyways, we have a 4.2, we have a 4.8, we have a 5.3. Either way, none of them pass because they all have to be above 5.5 before you average up to 6. A 6 is what's called a neutral abstain. It means that it technically is possible for something to move forward if everyone abstains, but it's still not good. You really want a 7. Our goal is always to get to a 7. Which is a 7 is an actual approval, and an 8 is what we strive towards, which is supportive approval. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, unless there's any other questions about the budget.
I'm super excited to do the verification process of the budget. They really, it's the first time I'm really excited.
Yeah. So all the budgets are totally verifiable. Like, budgets are not something that has to be like, maybe this is the budget. It's like every single dollar is verifiable, right? And we should be able to know exactly how much everyone's getting paid at any particular time, and everyone chooses their own rate. We get 6 weeks to decide our budget after everyone chooses their rate to whether it's going to be included or not. And overall, we want to empower each individual, make sure people are getting paid. Once we stabilize our income and we finalize our systems and how we want to move forward, I think we'll be able to do everything from paying people closer towards their ideal, like above people's requested, making sure people can work full time if they want to, as well as potentially starting some back pay. So overall, things are looking good, but we do need to stabilize our income before we can do those other things. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic, HR proposals. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
And the HR board proposal has been should be updated, right? This is for a task like update with new updated budget for 146 degree. So that would be a good thing to do. But overall, the HR board should approve that. Is someone in Plasma or just like Steve, you want to send out another email, remind people to vote, make sure that we don't forget about it, okay? So you got to always push the HR board to keep voting. All right, so the HR proposal that we approved at the Venus session, so this is approved at the Venus session, has a discrepancy. So the 3 weeks plus 1 month is equal to 7 weeks, not 11 weeks, and it said 11 weeks. Every time I was talking about 7 weeks. It's almost 2 entire months. I think that should be enough time. 11 weeks would be adding a 3rd month. I don't think that's necessary, but I'm open to whatever people want to discuss. We could always cut it in half as well and give us a little extra time. What do you guys want to do?
This is about the, like, I'm trying to understand our new selling calendar, and right now we are beginning the week.
Yes, this is the very beginning of the second
day
week.
of the week. Yes.
The first day of the week for the selling calendar, and so it's the 8th day of the month. Right, so 1 through 7 is the first week, and then 8 through 15 is the second week. Does that make sense? There you go.
Trying to.
Yeah, but the most important thing to understand for the Selene calendar is that it is literally the lunar calendar in real time. So the quarter moons and the full moons and the new moons are the beginning of the week. So the quarter moon is always the first day of the week of every single time there's a quarter moon forever, right? The new moon is the first day of the month for every month forever, right? The full moon is the first day of the third week of every month forever. Okay, does that make sense, Miguel?
Okay.
So, and then we have the eighth moons. The eighth moons are the exact middle point, which is the midweek check-in, which is the eighth moon. So you can see the eighth moon. It's really important to pay attention to the eighth moons because that gives you a mental reference point to the middle of the week. Because otherwise, the Gregorian week and the Selene week are totally separate. They're different. So you have to pay attention to the midweek check-in so you know when you're at the half point for the week. That make sense?
Well, trying. I need to Albina to help me a little bit more with that.
I mean, I've been working with the Selene calendar and other natural calendar systems for over a decade. So, you know, it can take years to get a handle of it and understand it. But no worries. All right. So let's go with let's get back to the proposal. So the proposal itself is simply for example, one option for the proposal is just to go with the 7 weeks. Proposal, confirm the 7 weeks before hard stop of the recruitment hard stop and the billing hard stop. So the question is 7 weeks enough? You know, if 7 weeks is not enough, like, you know, we can consider doing more, but that's the proposal I would put forth. Obviously, the other option is doing the 11 weeks or something in between. So does anyone want to propose doing 11 weeks? Or do you guys want to just stick with the 7 weeks? Are there any questions?
Yeah, I think the 7 weeks is fine.
Yeah. I mean, that was the original intention, was the 7 weeks. We just wrote 11 weeks, and we want to make sure that everything is documented correctly. So are there any questions about the proposal?
No.
Okay.
We got 1 minute to this subject.
Are there any concerns? None. All right. Objections?
The billing. We need to understand how to bill correctly the different entities in the FQN organization, the umbrella organization, all of that. We need to understand that pretty well.
Well, we went over it the other day at the
Venus session.
At the Venus session.
Yeah. So you can watch the video on that. We have the video, but overall, we're not expecting anyone to do a perfect bill. You know, you just had to bill something, right? So it's like our first budget time that we did budgets for each sextant. They were not very pretty. Yeah.
That's
Steve
sorry,
remembers.
I could doubt myself.
Yeah. So the first bill that every sextant does is not going to be pretty, but it always need to do it. So technically the first bill is due in 3 weeks for the new moon. Okay? So the 7 week timeline is actually giving an extra month to do the billing. But overall the billing shouldn't be too bad. We can go over it. One of the reasons why we create the soft stops and the hard stops is to force us, and again, I'm using the word force because that's what deadlines are for, to actually prioritize it, because we just don't prioritize things. And so the idea of the hard stops and the soft stops is to force us to prioritize the most important things, like our billing, because if we don't bill, we don't get paid, and then our clients fall apart. It's not good. So we have to prioritize billing, even though it's not exactly a work priority, it's an internal priority, but we have to do it. And everybody needs to understand how to bill. Every team needs to understand how to bill. So right now, the proposal is to confirm the 7 weeks for the hard stop, for the recruitment and billing hard stop. And then we have 7 weeks to prioritize it in meeting after meeting after meeting, and people can ask as many questions as they want to, including you, Miguel, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, so are there any other concerns?
2 minutes overdoing this subject. 1 minute overdoing this subject, sorry.
Okay, any objections? All right, so I don't hear any objections. I'm going to say we have consensus on this. So then the task is to update the Venus notes and the decisions doc to change 11 weeks to 7 weeks. Okay, can someone do that? This would be perfect for
Yeah, I got that. I got that.
All right, great. Thank you, Steve. Add Steve's name there. All right, so we're ready to move on. Ooh, our favorite, conflict evolution. Woohoo.
I have one quick thing.
Okay, yeah. Any
This
other?
is your second $1,000.
Sorry, say again.
Since we're talking about billing and money, this is your second reminder about the $5,000 call the bank.
Okay, but remember, like ideally, we got to get this prioritized in a buddy team and not just reminders that really like actually get focused.
You keep reminding you.
Cool, and also keep reminding Miguel, because me and Miguel are working a lot together on the finances and the bill pay and also accounts receivable. So Steve, me, Miguel, we all need to be coordinating on the accounts receivable, the bill pay, the payroll, and this $5,000 that disappeared, and the buying and selling all of our metals and things like that.
Yes. Okay. I will.
Thank you very much, Steve. And also, there is a lot of stuff to do in the financial.
I know.
Yeah, and we need to hire more people in the Americas to help with that, because me and Miguel and Steve can't do it by ourselves. So
no way, no how.
Jorge's helping also.
Jorge is helping as well. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So, any other questions or concerns? Any issues before we go into conflict evolution?
No,
okay. So we have a little mini agenda here. Is anyone object to me helping facilitate this particular section?
I just come out with one thing. It's 5 minutes to the hour. We didn't take the bottom of the hour break. Would you like to take a break now before we start?
I think that's perfect.
Right, it's 5 minutes to the hour. I think 5-minute break real quick for everybody to go stretch their legs, go to the CO or whatever. And then this might take a while. So.
All right, 5-minute break. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
Yes, es un break para estirar las piernas.
All right, we are at the top of the hour. You guys back?
Yep, I'm back.
Yes, I'm back.
All right, cool. So does anyone object to me helping facilitate us through the conflict evolution and mediation?
No.
No.
Okay. So let's go ahead and start. I just want to start by saying that like conflict evolution is not something to be avoided. It's kind of, you know, I wouldn't say it's cool or whatever, but it's like, it's a learning experience for all of us. And it's really one of the most important ways to learn about each other and also understand and you know, make sure that there's real communication going on. So I think that this should be a good experience for everybody. And it's only a beginning. I mean, this is just one step in a larger process of learning about ourselves and learning about other people and how we can work together through different cultures and communities and strategies, and the list goes on and on. Like, there's so many reasons for us not to be successful. Conflict evolution and working out our differences is our only way of actually being successful at our goal of helping the world and helping people for the future. So the mini agenda is check in on the status of where we currently are, and then I would propose spending 20 to 30 minutes on nonviolent communication. Nonviolent communication is very slow. It's you know, a lot of repetition and practice, right? So it takes practice because you're using very different techniques of communication than you normally would be. And then we can have 10 minutes for next steps and making decisions as a group for how we want to move forward. So that's my proposed mini agenda. Are there any other possible? Right? And the desired outcome is really just to hear and work towards understanding each other. Right? That's really the main outcome, and maybe some clear next steps and decisions on how we want to move forward as a group. So I think that would pretty much be our outcomes during this, you know, 40-minute, 1-hour period. Are there any other desired outcomes or agenda items people want to add to the mini agenda?
Yeah, my desired outcome is as soon as possible have a smooth operation.
Well, so it sounds like Asif's primary outcome is he wants us to be better at, you know, work and being smooth in our work processes and operations. So that would be excellent. Obviously, we can't accomplish that in one little meeting, but this can help us move that direction over the course of our communications. Okay, Asif? All right. So unless there's any objections to this mini agenda, I'm just going to jump in. Okay, so let's check in on the current status. So my understanding of where we currently are is as such. One is at the new moon session, the issue was brought up outside of the context of the process, outside our conflict evolution process. And so not much happened except for learning more about the process itself. So that was the new moon. At the new moon, we agreed that you know, we would agreed to choose a time and location for continued or to begin the conflict evolution I don't know, whatever. Bring in conflict evolution, specifically non-violent communication techniques. And obviously we're going to have to do more than that, but this is a good start. And then Lucy chose this session. So she chose the quarter moon and the Andromeda. So whatever doesn't happen today, we will continue at the Andromeda session. And then everyone agreed to those times and sessions. So that's where I understand we currently are. Are there any other status updates for where we currently are as a group in this process of the conflict evolution?
I was requesting, because I was told that some certain group that they really need to see me, because they have been there discussing, I'm requesting for their accounts, let them document everything that they discuss out of group about seeing me. I request Albina documentation with Steve, which I did last time. I asked Steve to document what they communicate. I need communication between Albina and Joyce. I need communication between Asif and Albina. Because those are the people that I told they need me.
Can you say that last part? Albina and who is the other person, Lucy? That last part?
Albina and Joyce.
Uh-huh. And what was the second
Albina
one?
and Asif.
Albina and Asif. And what was anything else?
Steve K and Albina.
Albina and Steve. Okay, so so I do remember that. So there was a request, and people agreed to this request that basically what this means is that you would copy and paste all communications onto a document.
I was waiting for this meeting to respond. My communications wasn't on Skype. It was in the Hangout. So it wasn't anything on Skype. It was done in the Hangout during a buddy team session.
And was it recorded?
I don't know. Albina, Joyce, was anybody recording the data you asked me to come in on that at 5:30 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning?
In fact,
was anybody recording? I know what was said though. I mean, I can tell her what was said.
We'll get to that. But the request itself is separate from what was said.
The request was for Skype messages, and then when I went looking for them, I realized there were none. It was done in the Hangout.
So, Albina, Joyce, or Asif, are there any recordings?
Okay, Albina and Asif, there is no documentation, there is nothing on Skype and anything. It was during our Zuri Team Friday session up with this one. Even I was not only the one in the session. So it is
so you're telling me you're telling me your main weekly session wasn't recorded.
It was recorded. Recorded. And that is when Asif came up with the issue of Lucy.
Okay, Asif. Asif, your turn.
Yes, I am just listing each and every conversation or what happened to Euro-Africa session in conflict evolution, and it's
no, guys.
Hey, Lucy.
Guys, don't skip this.
No, Lucy.
Wait.
Can you please let Asif finish? Let Asif finish and go next.
Okay, if she has approved, she can put it there because she insists there is communication between us. She can put it there. Because I know the last time I talked to Asif, it was in a group. I have no any documentation.
I just request the documentation. Please.
Hey guys,
this is not documentation I'm talking about.
Guys. All right, we gotta get a little more organized here. Lucy would like to, Miguel would like to speak, Albina would like to speak, and currently it's Asif's turn. So Lucy.
I haven't finished yet.
I know. So Asif is first, then Lucy, then Albina, and then Miguel. And again, we haven't even started our process right now. We're trying to figure out just the status. So really, this should only be about where's the documentations, link the Zuri meeting, link the information, commit to getting the information, and Asif. And I want to speak after Miguel.
Okay. Now, this is the actual thing. This is the actual wording which happened on Zuri session, okay? Now, Jay, you read all this thing and tell me where at least for once we have abused or we were against Lucy. Just read for yourself, okay? And other than this, I never had any chat with Albina regarding to Lucy because she's not that much important for me. I don't have any chat with Steve other than this. I didn't have any chat other than this to any one in the African community. Because I've got my I am not concerned with Lucy, and she's not that much important to us that we should waste our time in discussing always in discussing the Lucy subject.
So,
That's all
so
from
guys,
me.
guys,
Other than this, I don't have any.
okay, so I just want to step in here. I don't appreciate people bringing up all the conflict issues. This should be a very simple issue. Lucy made a request. It was agreed upon. The information should be delivered, or it should be clear why or what happened that the information wasn't delivered. I really don't appreciate people getting into the conflict-turi issues when this should be as simple, does the information and documentation exist or not? This is a status update. This is not needing to get into, you know, I don't like Lucy, blah, 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 blah. That's not appropriate. It's not professional. Let's just stick to the status update and the information. We'll have as much time as you need to explain yourself and how you feel in a minute. Lucy.
Yes, I was requesting the information before Friday because I was told on Thursday that a group of people that they need to speak with me. Then I asked Steve K, who are those people? Then he said Asif, Albina, Joyce, and Alain. In fact, I also get a message from Alain saying,
Steve, if you would like to speak, I can add you to the stack. I can
on
add
Friday, Steve need you there. You need to be there on Friday on continuation of conflict resolution. I got the message from Alain that told by Steve to send me. So my request is, where this group are discussing to meet me, because I was not there. I think there is somewhere they discuss because I was not there. That is all I'm requesting. That is not the way of talking about the message you spaced for Friday. That was the issue you discussed before Friday. You discussed before Friday to meet me, to discuss with me. Then I request for me to discuss with you this issue. In fact, I was refusing to attend Fridays. That is why I agreed to come on Watermoon and Andromeda session. Then I request the discussion you guys you had. You need to speak with me. When are you guys talking that day? I need that information, not Friday information.
Okay, so this particular copy and paste of information here that you added, Asif, what date is this from?
It says 19th.
Which date?
Friday the 19th.
All right, so this is Friday the 19th of January. And today is, that's December, today's the 24th, so this was last Friday. Okay, so I would confirm from what Lucy just said that is correct. She was requesting communications from before the 19th. All right, we're gonna move on to, Lucy, are you done? Can we move on to Albina, please?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, Jay.
Yeah.
About the information she's requesting, there is no communication I had with Steve in private. Steve came in on the hangout when we were with Joyce. That was on hangout. So if she says that she needs private communication and we document, that one I'm not aware about it. And the way Steve is posting this is on Friday. That is the only encounter we had with Asif concerning Lucy issue, and I was not the only one on the hangout. So there is no communication privately with me and Asif. That one count out. It was in the meeting of Zuri team. There is no communication with me, Joyce, concerning Lucy, because we don't have time to come and discuss her here. We are here to come and work. The only thing we have with Joyce is working in the party team. That is all. There is no communication, private messages with Joyce concerning Lucy.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you done, Albina?
Yeah, I'm done.
Miguel.
Yeah, I want to tell everybody that this is a very important issue because we know what FQN is. FQN is trying to solve a lot of problems to the whole world and to become a better world to all of us. So to resolve this conflict, you need to want to be resolved in a good manner, not in like with hate or with anger. Yes, always try to resolve the problems with love and a lot of respect. And we are 6 minutes overdue in this subject.
All right, thank you, Miguel. All right, so it's my turn to speak. All right, so bottom line, what I would say is that in terms of documentation, the policy is very clear. All communication is public, period. There is no such thing as private communications within the FQNet network, right? There is no private communications. Our policy is very clear. All super team meetings, weekly main sessions, must be recorded. All buddy teams must be recorded. All Skype and other emails and messages must be copied and pasted into documents and made available, et cetera, right? So everything just needs to be made available. So, I mean, for me, basically what I want to see is everyone, including myself, to copy and paste any and all Skype communications into documents and link them. This needs to happen. I mean, we don't have a deadline for this yet, but we need to set a deadline. And I think that this is a good time to start, So, I really just don't care whether or not you guys had communications regarding Lucy or not. It's the policy. So you follow the policy, right? And so we would start with the ones that were requested, and we want to see them. And you guys should get them within well, it really should happen immediately, but if you need 24 hours, you get that 24 hours or whatever, but it's just I can show you how to do this. I would come in here, I would create a document. So let's say I go over here to the Google. Actually, let me go over here to Safari. What? So I come in here, I go to my drive, I create a new document, and I open up Skype, and I say, okay, here's my communications with Miguel. And I just drag all my communications with Miguel. I wonder if I can just do copy all. Yeah, it looks like I can just do directly copy all. Right? Gonna work. So I have to come all the way up and make sure that I get everything. I think at the very top it should say that there's nothing else. Nothing, that's it. So then I just copy all and paste. Done. So this is Miguel and Jay. Right. And I can share it. And it doesn't matter whether or not there's details or information about Lucy or not. It's the policy, right? The request was made to get the communications between the people, and it was agreed to. It just needs to happen. That's my perspective on it. Here's all of Miguel and Jay's Skype communications that have ever existed. Done. It took me about 2 minutes. Okay. So yeah. So that is me. And again, it's not just you guys. Everyone needs to be doing that. Also, every single buddy team needs to be recorded. If level 4 people are not recording your buddy teams, you cannot be a senior Sextant manager. You cannot be a level 4, period. And we're going to take everyone down to level 3. It just needs, you guys need to be recording all of the sessions. Is not appropriate or within our policy to not be recording. If you do not know how to record, you need to ask and get training immediately, period. Check. Steve. Steve, your turn.
16 minutes overdue this subject, 11 minutes.
Steve, okay.
Number one, okay. Where I'm concerned, there was no Skype communication, and I wasn't part of a buddy team. I was called into the buddy team. That being said, I mean, we can all put down on paper what was said. That's not addressing the actual problem.
Of course not. There's
Okay,
no one saying that it's addressing the problem.
The problem is persisting, where there are people who don't want to work with. So we need to figure out a way to address not the documentation. If he wants documentation, I can write down what was said. I can put on a piece of paper what was said at the meeting, but I can write down anything. How's she going to know it's true? I mean, there is no Skype conversation. You know, it was 6:30 in the morning. I get a message saying, "Steve, we need to talk to you. It's an emergency."
What day was
I'm
that?
not even really.
What day was that?
When I hear that we're having problems, I'm like, address the situation at a meeting.
What day was
And
that?
I said to them at the next main session, bring it up. Jason, she thinks there's a conspiracy against her, that we're all plotting against her, and there's all these conversations. Now, it's my turn to talk, so now I'm going to say what I have to say. My only thing is, out of all the major confrontations that have happened in this organization, 75% of them have involved one person. And
Again,
it's
you're
not
going
us
into the
that's the problem,
conflict.
it's that one person. That's all I have to say about it.
Okay.
It's causing a lot of people strife.
Okay, so again, if you guys want to respect me and my time as a facilitator, if we can just get through this documentations issue so that we can go into the conflict right now. Right now, we're still in the status update. We're just trying to deal with this issue. I have one question for you, Steve. What was the date when you were called into the meeting for this emergency session?
That I can find for you. I'll look on Skype. I'll let you know in a minute.
Thank you. Okay, so again, I do not care whether or not anything was said in some Skype message or this or that or a meeting or whatever. That is not the issue as far as the status update. So Asif, Albina, Steve, all of the people who are talking about this, you guys are addressing it as if it's this big, huge conspiracy, this big issue that nothing is this said or this was not said or that. That's not what the question is. The question is very simple. Lucy made a specific professional request for documentation. You guys agreed to the professional request for documentation. So unless you guys are retracting your agreement that you refuse to provide the documentations that you agreed to bring and to have, you know, that's really it. It doesn't matter what was said in the documentations, right? It doesn't matter if you lie on the documentations or whatever you did. That can be addressed at a different time. The bottom line point is a request was made. It was agreed to in the group. And you guys are complaining about it as if it's not important because you personally feel that there's nothing in the communications that is applicable, right? So basically the bottom line in terms of what I'm trying to perceive here is that I want a yes or no from each person. Are you going to provide the documentations or not, regardless of what's included in it, and agree to Lucy's request? Otherwise, it's just a mute issue. So let's start with Asif. Are you agreeing to Lucy's request or not?
Yes, right away.
Okay, thank you. Albina.
Albina, yes. Yes.
Albina, yes. Okay, Steve. Are you agreeing?
I have no documentation, but I'll write down what was said, sure.
Okay, that's great. Is there anyone else that needs to provide documentation, Lucy? Joyce, do you agree to Lucy's request?
Yes.
Okay, so again, this has nothing to do about what's in the documentation. Lucy requested it. Everybody agreed to it. It should be provided. It should not be a conflictory issue. It's a neutral issue of just being professional. Everyone agreed to this. It should just happen. Not providing the documentation is the opposite of being professional and the opposite of trying to solve the problems. Okay, are we all understood?
Which documentation, Jay? All the documentation.
We're asking
Skype,
for just the Skype messages, and this is for everything. And then we should just link the Zuri team meetings and recordings, including some buddy teams, etc. Buddy teams and main sessions.
Shall it include Lucy too?
Sure, that's fine.
Or all of us in the organization? All of us in the organization should provide all the Skype messages, right?
Eventually, every single person, including myself, will need to provide all Skype communications and all recordings and documentation should all be verified. Yes, but for now, we're starting with you guys because you guys agreed to it. and we need it for this conflict, and was requested and was agreed upon. Okay. Does that answer your question, Joyce?
Yes, please include Lucy too in that list.
Okay, Lucy, can you agree to provide your documentations as well?
I have no problem. Let them provide. That was my request.
Okay, but they just had a request.
Don't worry.
So Lucy, it's a yes or no question. Do you agree to provide your Skype communications and documentations recordings?
Yes, with you, Joyce.
Cool. All right, great. All right, so everyone's in agreement. That's the current status of where everything is. Is there anything else regarding the status that needs to be addressed, or can we get into the communications? Okay, so I think we're good. All right, so thank you everybody for getting on top of the status. Our next thing, I think we should start with these people.
Yeah.
Yes, Asif?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
My Skype communication with Albina is on the document right now, and anyone is free to check.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Asif. That is exactly what we're asking for. All right, so so now we're going to go into the non-violent violent communications. We'll be pretty flexible with this, but basically the bottom line is I statements, feelings for how you felt, and then observable perceived actions. Okay, so let's just stick with those three. We'll keep it simple. There's a couple other details of nonviolent communications that are helpful. Oh yeah, the last part is repetition. We'll add the repetition there. So repetition. All right, so who wants to go first? So it's Steve, Albina, Steve, Joyce, Lucy. Who wants to go first? Everybody will get a chance to speak. Each person will get at least like 3, 4, 5 minutes. If we need to extend into a future session, that's fine. You can say anything you want, but I am going to be helping you stick to the nonviolent communication techniques. It's not easy. Just do your best, and then you're going to want to have someone repeat what you said, and you can ask a specific person if you'd like. But everyone will basically be able to say everything that they want to. So who wants to start? Asif, Albina, Steve, Joyce, Lucy. Who wants to go first?
Okay, I'll go first.
Thank you.
All right, let's start with Asif. All right, and again, this is not a time to respond. You can write things down if you want to respond, and then when it's your turn, you can say something. If there's a request, we can address it. Typically, requests would come afterwards, so you don't have to do your requests during this session, this particular part. So the main goal here, Asif, is to share and express your feelings, how you felt, what you perceived, and make sure people understand where you're coming from. Okay, go, Asif, your turn.
Actually, I personally, first of all, I will personally express my feelings, what I, believe. I'm a kind of person who is very much friendly to everybody, and I am not having any conflict or any confusion with any person in this community. But I feel we are working in a professional organization. We should work professionally, and we should stick to the policies of the community.
Anything else, Asif, or is that it?
That's it.
Okay, so can someone repeat that, or would you like to request someone to repeat that for you?
Yeah, I would like Steve, please repeat it for me.
Did you say Steve?
Steve,
Steve, okay, can you?
Okay, what am I?
So you're just gonna repeat what you heard Asif said in your own words to the best of your recollection. It's also written here, so just put in your own words. Just summarize what you heard Asif say.
I'm not even look at it. I'm gonna do it off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's fine.
But what he said basically was he doesn't come here, he doesn't have a problem with anybody, he gets along with everybody, and we're a professional organization. He wants everyone to act professionally so we can get the work done.
Is that correct, Asif?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. So anything else you want to add, Asif?
Yes, I just wanted to add that I was very much, I was very much disturbed. And honestly, and it disturbed the work as well, when I heard that not one, not two, 5 of our people were into this kind of thing, this kind of conflict. So it was really, obviously it was really disturbing. And the worst part was, after requesting to a particular person that forgive everybody, she was trying to insist to make this like she's going to, going for a war. This was really, disturbing. Everyone should realize, okay, if one person is arguing for forgiveness, just forgive him. Because God is, once you will ask God to forgive you, He will forgive you 10 times. You are human. You can't forgive your way. And the best, and in Christianity and in every religion, forgiveness is the main thing. Okay, if you go in front of God and ask for forgiveness, He will forgive you there and there. Okay, so you are human. Why you are having so much hate for your human brothers or sisters? Why? I don't understand. I don't hate Lucy, honestly speaking. I don't hate Lucy. She's my sister. She's my friend. Yes, the things which I hate in Lucy is her attitude. The thing which I hate in Lucy is her arrogance.
Okay, so
I don't hate Lucy.
Asif?
Sorry, yes.
So you're kind of stemming away there towards the end in terms of like you want to try to keep it to yourself as opposed to talking about other people in terms of your opinions, and try to refrain from your opinions of other people, and stick to how Lucy makes you feel and your experiences of that. So, but anyways, keep going. You're doing good overall.
And still, believe me, I was very much excited when I saw the attitude yesterday, when we were working in one group, when Steve sent me to the second group, and I was amazed with the attitude of, I love that Lucy. Honestly, the way she was treating me like a friend, the way she was treating, but again, when she brought this thing or whatever it is, I don't understand. Okay, so let's forget everything, guys. Let's forget. I request everybody over here. Let's forget everything and give a new start from here. Okay, because things comes, things goes. Bad things come, bad things goes. So please refresh your mind and give a new start from here. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Asif. Would someone like to repeat what Asif said, or Asif, did you want to request someone to repeat it for you? Anybody?
I'll do it again.
Actually, unless Asif wants you to do it again, it's very important to mix it up. Make sure other people get practice. It's not easy. So Asif, unless you wanted Asif to do it, let's get someone else to do it. So can somebody repeat what they heard Asif say? Obviously, there was a lot there, but you can give maybe there's like 2 or 3 bullet points you could talk about.
So anyone can jump in?
Yes. Anybody? Joyce or Miguel?
Yes.
Let's give both of you a chance. So Joyce, you go first, and then Miguel. There was a lot there. I'm sure both of you guys can do fine. Joyce, you go first.
Yes.
What did you hear?
What I understood
say?
from Asif.
Mm-hmm.
What I understood from Asif is that the only problem with
Joyce, we can't hear you. Okay, I think we lost Joyce. Miguel.
Yeah, in a very as he was saying that he doesn't like the certain things about Lucy, and he loved certain things about Lucy also. He says that we need to learn how to forget, because his God always says that the forgiveness, he's always going to forget anything that happened, because we are going to have a new start every single time. And he's able and he wants to do that, because the last time he worked with Lucy, he felt like he was treating well, and he liked a lot about that. I think that summarizes your thoughts.
Yes, Miguel, thank you.
To you. Thank you very much.
Great.
Very kind soul.
Thank you, Miguel. Joyce, are you back? No, Joyce. Okay. So, Asif, was there anything else you needed to add, or can we go on to the next person?
No, okay, that's it.
Okay, Asif is done.
One last thing.
Okay, one last
If
thing.
ever there's anything from my side, I beg you all to forgive me. All, not all.
Okay, does someone want to repeat that?
I didn't hear either.
Okay, I'll do it.
If
Oh, Steve, go for it.
anything to anybody to get them upset, he begs you to forgive him for anything he might have done to upset anybody.
Is that correct, Asif?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, is there anything else that you need to add, Asif?
That's it. That's from my side.
Okay, great. So that's one person. So you can see it can take a little while, but it's extremely powerful. We were able to really hear, and not just hear Asif, we were able to understand him. Everything we repeated back to him, he said was affirmative, that we said and heard him correctly. You can also see there in that process that even when someone says that they are done, there's still more, right? And so it's important to give people the chance to fully release and let everything out. So, and that's not an easy thing to do, because we're always reacting to people instead of really hearing and taking the time to hear people out. So we're going to go on to the next person. So it'll be either Albina, Steve, Joyce, or Lucy. Who wants to go next? Steve. And then we'll go to Albina, I think. Is that okay? Steve, okay for everyone?
Yeah.
All right, Steve.
All right, look, I like working with Lucy. When she's in a good mood, she's great. It's my opinion and my feeling that if I say something to Lucy that doesn't agree with her, she takes it personally and gets defensive. And once she gets defensive, she starts screaming and talking over everybody. And everybody here who has the problem has heard this. She starts talking over everybody and not allowing anyone to get upset. She starts to, and the tears start to flow because she thinks we're attacking her personally.
Okay,
What Lucy has to understand is that nobody dislikes her personally. None of this is personal. We might disagree with what's going on with work. We might not agree with something that was done, but it's all business. It's not personal. But Lucy doesn't say, "You hate me. You're coming after me." Those are her exact words in every single fight that I've heard. And I've been around for about 3 or 4 of them already, where it was either with me or with other people when I was there. It's always, "You're attacking me personally. You're disrespecting me. You're coming after me." It's always something we're doing to her on a personal level. What Lucy needs to understand is nobody has any personal dislike for her. At least not that I think of. It's all business. And if she would stop screaming and allow people to disagree with her, or somebody to say, "Lucy, that's not right. It's not how we do it. It was done wrong," without screaming and taking it personally, none of the problems that have happened would have ever arisen. The problem is, once she starts talking, she doesn't let another person do it. She just tries to get louder and louder and scream over the person.
Okay, so Steve, can I step in here for a second?
Sure.
Okay, so you did some things really good. Some things were definitely getting a little bit beyond the scope. So when you talked about, quote her exact words of what you heard her say, that was perfect, right? So it's like, this is what I heard her say. I heard her say, that, et cetera, et cetera. You had a couple quotes there, right? So "You hate me. You are coming after me," right? Those are some quotes. So that's exactly perfectly fine, right? You also started going off a little bit, talking about how you feel like she's like you hear screaming and talking over people like that. That is technically opinionated language.
You're screaming at me.
I know. I'm just saying that there are ways to say that. You could say that she raised her voice, that it was loud.
Okay.
So what I want to try to get you to do is forget everything I just said, and tell us and explain to all of us how it personally makes you feel when you experience Lucy raising her voice and talking to you in the way that she did at certain times. That's what we want to hear, how it made you personally feel. Okay.
When I am facilitating a meeting, it was a global session, and I start getting yelled at, I feel disrespected. I feel like what I'm saying doesn't matter. Only what was being yelled at me is supposed to matter, and that I'm supposed to let somebody scream at me and agree with what they're saying, even when the entire team, everybody there, is disagreeing with it. But I'm supposed to say, okay, yell at me, that's okay. Disrespect me, that's okay. But if God forbid I would say something back, then I'm disrespecting the person. I feel like what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander. But if you want to yell at me, why shouldn't I be able to yell at you? But we don't. Well, we get yelled at. I get yelled at all the time by Lucy. At least 5 times.
Okay, cool. So again, when you talk about Lucy screaming, when you say that Lucy's yelling at you, all that kind of stuff, that's getting I know it's simple language, but it's borderline going into your opinion of what you perceive Lucy doing. Okay. So obviously we can clearly state that you've had experiences where Lucy has raised her voice at you, and you have been facilitating, and you felt disrespected, and you felt like what you had to say didn't matter, and that only what was said loudly was what mattered. So I'm trying to just show you how I can try to put these words into things that are a little bit more neutral without having to personally objectify. No, you're doing great. You're doing great, Steve.
I just have one thing to add.
Yeah.
It is the only time I ever had to say to somebody, I am going to use my rank as the HR senior person and ask you to leave if you don't stop. It's the only time I've ever had to say that. And it made me feel like badly that I would have to go to that level to tell somebody you're going to take off until the next new moon session or quarter moon session because you're interrupting everybody's work and you're now affecting the business. And I should never, no worker should make me feel that way, that I have to say to them, if you don't stop, I'm going to have to ask you to take off from work.
Great. Okay, cool. So that what you said, that last part there, Steve, was perfect. That was 100% nonviolent communication right there, because you were just explaining how you felt. You're explaining what happened. It was perfect. Okay. So let's request Lucy to try to repeat back what you said, since a lot of this has to do with her. So that would be ideal. Also, someone else could step in and say some of it back as well. And Steve, your turn is not over. We're just going to repeat, make sure we heard what you said, and then go on and come back to you. So is Lucy here, or does someone else want to step in before Lucy?
17 minutes into this topic.
Thank you, Miguel. So the goal here is for Lucy to repeat back what she heard Steve say as best as she can. Also, if it's difficult for Lucy, someone else can do it first, and then Lucy can do it second. So, and technically speaking, Lucy doesn't have to do it, but we do want to make sure she's here. So, can someone repeat back what Steve said? Lucy, are you here?
Yes.
Are you requesting not to repeat back what you heard Steve say?
No, I don't want.
You don't want to? Okay, so Lucy would prefer not to repeat back what she heard Steve say, but she is here and she is listening. So can someone else do it first, and then we'll ask her one more time, but we can't force her to do anything, but, we want to make sure that we heard Steve. So does someone want to repeat it back, please? Albina, Albina, go for it. What did you hear Steve say?
Okay, what I heard Steve saying is that he likes working with Lucy when she's in good mood, that he doesn't want Lucy to shout, especially when he's facilitating. Steve needs time to explain what he wants to explain before someone chips in to talk, because it's a way of disrespecting him. That is all I had.
Okay, Steve, did that capture more or less what you were saying, Steve?
That captured more or less the first part, yes.
The first part. Okay, so Lucy or someone else, do you guys want to try to do a good job, Albina? That was great. Does someone else want to try to capture the second part of what Steve said?
I would like to.
Okay, Mazi.
Yeah, Steve said when he was facilitating a meeting, then he felt that she is disrespecting him, and he said that if he will speak back, then he will be disrespecting the other person. So he don't want to do that.
Great. Anything else you wanted to add, Mazi?
No.
Cool. And I just want to add, I want to add myself that when Steve said that he felt like he couldn't say something back because he felt like it would disrespect the other person, right? That's how he felt. Whether or not that's true or not doesn't matter. That's how he felt in the situation. So I want to confirm that that is nonviolent communication. Whether or not Lucy felt that way or not, that's how Steve felt, and that's all that matters. So Steve, did Mazi correctly state what you said? Does that sound right?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so let's go back to Lucy. Lucy, do you want to try to even do like a single sentence to try to repeat what you heard from Steve?
No.
No. Okay. So anyways, we'll move on. Eventually it'll be Lucy's turn. She can express herself and then we can repeat back what she says. But eventually, at some point in time, we want you to repeat something back, Lucy, just so you can get practice in the nonviolent communication. All right, so we're going to go back to Steve now. Do you have anything to add, Steve?
No, except that I don't want to see you quit, Lucy. I don't want to see you not work. You told me the other day, I'll go back to the streets. That's fine. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that for you. We just want to all work peaceably. And when you don't agree or we have a disagreement among us, then we all speak like normal human beings. And we discuss the problem without raising our voices. If we could all do that, the organization would be fine.
Great. Yes,
Yeah, very nice.
And it's always easier said than done because we do get emotional, but would someone like to repeat back what Steve just said? Lucy, Joyce, Asif.
Yes, Steve just said that he doesn't want anyone to be quit from the community and just work professionally and peacefully.
Right, does that sound correct, Steve?
In essence, yes, that's what I said, yes.
Great. Will you have anything else to add?
No, I'm good.
You're good. All right. So Steve is done. So now we have 3 people left. We've got Albina, Lucy, and Joyce. Lucy, certainly welcome to go if you want to go. We've heard from 2 people, but then we have Albina and Joyce. Who would like to go next? Albina.
Yeah. Okay. What I can say, guys, thank you so much, Asif and Steve, for expressing your feelings. What I want to say generally is we are in an organization and we are from different parts of the world. Different races, different colors, different culture. So what we need to understand is to learn interpersonal skills. How can you relate to different kind of people? Because all of us, we have different characters. I just point out is the approach of approaching people when you have an issue. How are you approaching people? We need to come in a friendly way. If there is a problem, can we solve this problem in a good way? The only 2 encounters I had from Lucy is the first time I was working with Abdul. It was on payroll and she comes with a reimbursement. We did not see on her documentation on her work report. So she comes shouting at us, why are you not putting my reimbursement? Then I was like, if it's not on the documentation, then we are not able to trace out that you did reimbursement on this. What you do, just go back to your document and put there. Whichever hours it is there, we are going to go with it. She goes further and says that everyone in FQN hates me. Now I was like, how is it related to payroll now? If everyone hates you and we are here with Abdul, How can that relate to all of us? If you want to address all of us, wait for the main session so that you can raise such an issue. This thing made Abdul to run out of the hangout. I had to request him back. We change from the main hangout. We go to the third hangout so that we may continue working on that. Another case was on Friday when we were having a Zuri team. That's the time we were passing our budget. She comes in, she just interrupts the meeting. She now starts again saying, you people, you are discussing me. Those small groups you are having discussion over me, you should just document everything. So that one to me, it was not good because if there is an issue and if it is personal issues, let us handle it in a friendly way. We are here and most of us, we are here to focus on our 2 hours. If it is 2 hours working, we should not waste our time discussing other irrelevant issues. If we have issues, let us approach the issues in a friendly way. For me personally, actually, I don't want to have any issue personally with Lucy or anyone else. My own intention is just to come work with everybody. And that is all I have to say.
Okay. Would anyone like to? Lucy, I'll keep asking Lucy to see if you're ready to repeat what someone says. Otherwise, anyone else can repeat it. So I just want to repeat back what we heard Albina say to summarize it.
Yeah, basically Albina wants to say that she wants to work in a specific way because she understands that a lot of people in these organizations come from all around the world, and she likes that, and she wants to work. She always wants to address the situations in a friendly way, and I think that summarizes the what you say, Albina, and hey, if I can speak a little bit. Very, very nice to hear that to always work in a good way and have a good attitude and in a friendly way. Hey, very welcome. There is a lot of stuff that I'm hearing that is very nice. Yeah, check.
Albina, does that sound correct?
Yeah, he's very right.
Cool. All right. So I want to challenge Albina just for a second. So you said a couple things specifically about when Lucy came on to the hangout with you and Abdul, that you felt that she was shouting at you, that she requested documents and all these kind of things, she said that she feels that people in FQN hate her, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you said a bunch of things about Lucy, but what I want you to challenge you to do is I want you to say how that personally made you feel inside. Like, how did you react to it personally? Because you didn't actually say how you felt. You just said about what you observed. So I think it would be good to challenge you to just to quickly try to explain how you felt.
Okay, for me personally, I feel so bad. When there is an issue, why should someone come again and say that you hate me, all of you in FQN? I don't see anyone hating anyone in FQN unless, for me, I think personally, if Lucy has some personal issues, it should not extend to work. If there is an issue about payroll, most of the time we have differences in even our figures, but we just come up and discuss in a right way. So if there is a problem and someone comes to the hangout and says that everyone hates me in FQN, I know that, and I know personally you hate me, even you hate me.
Okay. So,
CNCs, I hate that.
Okay.
So to me personally, that one was not, it just made me not even feel good. I felt even confused. Even Abdul said that if this is the case, I'm not going to work on payroll anymore. We left the hangout. I had to send him a Skype message to tell Abdul, just come, because on the time frame, it is me and you working on the first verification. We need to do this thing. If there is any problem with Lucy, then that one we can discuss it in another level. But to me personally, I don't feel good when someone tells me everyone hates me. Now you generalize. There is a problem of two people handling two people, but we generalize everyone. It seems like.
Okay, cool.
So for me, I thought there is something behind it.
Cool. All right. So I mean, a lot of what you said is you're still going over into expressing things that are your opinions of how you experience Lucy. But you did say a couple things that were very specific and very clear, that she made you not feel good, or not necessarily that she made you feel, that you personally did not feel good when you heard that, and that you also felt confused and that you didn't really understand, and that you felt bad, right? So I think that's important to make it clear. Over time, you'll get better at expressing your feelings and understanding. Make sure people understand. So does anyone else want to repeat back what we heard Albina say about how she felt?
We are going to complete the time for this subject.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone want to quickly repeat back what Albina said? Okay, well, I mean, I kind of repeated already. So Albina, we're going to go back to you. You can say more if you have anything to add. And just do your best to keep to the I statements, to stick with your observed experience, and we'll just translate as needed, but you're doing great. So Albina, do you have anything else that you want to add?
Yeah, me. Yeah, okay, what I can request is that I need a friendly environment to work. I don't want to have any personal issues with anyone, be it Lucy or anyone in FQN. All I need that we reconcile and we go back and focus on our work. You can see if we could be working in a friendly way, we could not waste our time discussing on conflict every now and then in every meeting we have. It's like it's wasting our time also. We need to focus on our top priorities, because if we focus on our top priorities, even the organization will grow. And for us personally, we will also grow. I'm urging everyone is that we need to just handle issues in a correct way. If there is any differences, try to learn someone. We need also to learn interpersonal skills. Just be able to work with everyone. Because if we say that I'm not going to work with so-and-so because this one and this one is not going to work out, we need just to learn each other's character, see if there is an issue, solve the two of the board. Thank you.
All right, does someone want to repeat back what they heard Albina say? Lucy, Joyce, James, you haven't gone yet. You want to try it?
Okay. Albina is saying that all she wants is a friendly environment which she can work in, and that she doesn't want to have personal issues with anyone within the FQN. And for her, she just wants to have an environment where she can focus on what she wants to do within the FQN. And she doesn't want to spend more time talking about conflicts. Instead, she wants to move on. Also, she was saying that people need to learn interpersonal skills and be able to work with anybody within the community, within the FQN community.
Great. Albina, did James correctly express what you felt and what you said?
Yes.
Great.
That is
perfect. Okay, we're doing really well, you guys. This is excellent. Sometimes I'm going to be back and forth just trying to figure out what people said. So, Albina, do you have anything else you want to add?
Not really. I'm okay.
Okay, so we have two people left. There's Joyce and there's Lucy. So, Lucy, do you prefer to just have Joyce in first and then get out of the way, and then we'll do you last, and then you can respond to everybody, or how do you want to do that?
I think Joyce lost connection, but she's she's documenting her discussion here on the document.
Oh, I thought she was just taking notes on what other people were saying.
I think she's documenting something.
Oh, this is her. Okay. So let's start this and put this down here. So this will be Joyce's section. So, so generally speaking, this is not a good way to document someone's communication during a session like this, but we can try. So, so if you can hear us, Joyce, just write down here. So continue.
She's writing herself and she's not on the Hangout. I think she's there writing.
Yeah. All right. So what I hear from you, Joyce, it says, I started FQN very happy and see FQN a nice place to work in. Then I started feeling disturbed with the attitude from Lucy, but I didn't mind up until the beginning of the year. I felt that if I minded her, it was just a waste of time. I want to say that I never met anyone so disturbing. All I want is for her to analyze her. So I mean, you can see here there's a lot of conflictory language here. She's not talking about how she feels. She's talking about her opinion and her perception of Lucy, right? Of Lucy's attitude, that it's a waste of her time, that I want to say I never met anyone so disturbing. Like that language there is very conflictory because it's not about herself. It's about how she interprets Lucy, and it's her opinion of Lucy. So, you know, all this kind of stuff we would want to not repeat. But people say what they need to say, not until she accepts what is wrong. What is wrong? I think she cannot change. So again, these are all opinions of Lucy, right? So this is not about herself, right? So Joyce needs to try to rephrase all of this in terms of how it makes her feel, and why she feels that she doesn't perceive that someone else isn't able to change. Like what are the reasons why she feels that she doesn't see the change in the attitude or whatever, right? So all of us have not good attitude, but we try to change. Shigimi also opened up. Whenever she opens the Hangout and she says is there, she is doubting whether to proceed to enter the Hangout or not. And so with other newcomers before, but summarize it all. She doesn't hate Lucy, only her ways which are not professional. I did everything to be friends with her, treated her, called cool. So obviously Joyce wants to continue to work with Lucy. She would want to, be a sister and even a daughter, but that it's difficult. So anyways, we'll hear more from Joyce. Hopefully she can get on the Hangout and actually communicate, and we can ask her questions and repeat back what she said, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll come back to her. I think what I would encourage us to do is go to Lucy and really hear from Lucy. Do we want to do a quick 30-second break, or should we just jump into Lucy because she's the last one? We need to stretch up. All right, let's just do a quick 30-second break. Everyone stand up, stretch, because we've been sitting for a while, but we're not going to stop. And then as soon as Lucy goes, then we'll take a 5-minute break, okay?
Okay. Wow, sometimes stretching is a relief, really. I'm relieved.
Yes, that's what this is for. So the only other thing I want to add real quick before Lucy goes is, well, here, let's just stretch a second longer. Oh, my God. Okay, I think that's 30 seconds. So the only other thing I wanted to add is that when people start talking about conflict wasting your time, I think that is a little naive. I think that right now in this moment, the most important thing that we can possibly do is to discuss this conflict and discuss our interpersonal relationships and how we communicate, and that there's nothing more important. It literally is the most important thing above all else. If it wasn't, then we wouldn't be here right now because everything would be fine, right? Conflict trumps everything. How we communicate and work with each other and how we treat each other as human beings is the foundation that everything else is built on. So it's definitely not a waste of time. And it's also a very difficult thing to do. So as long or as much time as we need to spend in discussing and addressing the issues of conflict is perfectly fine. Also, what we'll find is as we get more interactive with the public in the world, we are going to be spending an incredible amount of time training people on nonviolent communication and conflict evolution and mediation techniques, because that's part of what the world needs, is just simply people, instead of people yelling at each other, to actually communicate and listen to each other. Okay, so anyways, let's go to Lucy. Let's give Lucy as long as she needs to express herself and explain her perception and go from there. So Lucy, it is now your turn. And the goal is definitely I statements, how you feel from what you've heard, and you can, and we'll repeat back everything you say, and you can explain what you saw and experienced. So Lucy.
I really feel bad. I will start when I got Albina and Abdul. I'm making the payroll. When I asked Abdul why you did not include my reimbursement, the first word coming from Albina was shouting at me, "Lucy, just pick the document here." She was shouting at me. Then I told her, no, I'm asking Abdul, not you, Albina. Excuse me, I'm asking Abdul. Albina is still insisting on shouting at me. I think now she's now getting an image whereby she repaired her image using my name. Perfect, you got it, girl. And another thing, they left me, they went to another hangout. They called Abdul and go to other hangout. I went ahead and called Albina on Skype. She told me, Lucy, I will make your life miserable. Don't follow me.
Oh my God.
Don't follow me. Yeah, Albina told me not to follow her because I was asking, why are you guys leaving me on the hangout and you go? Abdul write a message telling me I'm with Albina on a third hangout. I was alone. Then I say, fine. If you make me miserable, it is well and good. I remain there. Joseph and Steve are on another hangout. I look for them. Then I told them, you guys, you need to come up to the next hangout, to the main hangout, because we cannot leave the main hangout like that. I continue working with those guys. The following day, I come. I work with Steve and she was working with Joseph. Albina told Joseph all about me, how bad I am, how I pretend to be this company is like mine. She even went ahead and sent a message to Steve tell this girlfriend of yours, I will come in that hangout and shout at her. You can even write, you can just even copy that message, you send it to Steve. And you tell Steve, let Lucy understand this is not her company. You went and shout with Steve and Joseph. You call Steve from my hangout to go there. You shout at Steve and Joseph. You tell them, you go ahead and check contribution ranking. Talking about Steve O. You check contribution ranking. You call Steve to come to your hangout where you are. You tell them, the person who is showing you this contribution ranking, she doesn't know anything. You went ahead, you put the yellow everywhere. I was like, if I don't understand anything, why don't you just come and tell me, Lucy, you don't understand? You say the figures that are there are wrong. You guys, you don't know anything. In fact, Joseph was annoyed because he has his own principle. He doesn't show you. You told Joseph many other things that you feel like, and you tell Joseph, don't let Lucy know this. Don't let Lucy know this. Joseph, I asked Joseph, are you still on another hangout? You say, no, we already left. You know, I really don't feel well. When Albina was coming and shouting, that's like, we look like our kids, saying, we don't know contribution ranking. We can just even go now and open contribution ranking, and we check the time you edit, you put the yellow color, you say, I don't know anything. I pretend that is my own company. I really felt bad. This is not my company, Albina. I'm just here working as another employee. If I make anything wrong on any other thing, you cannot just go with that like, you go and shout to the other people. Shout at me because you know me. Albina, you don't know me now. You know me since when? I think you know me perfectly well. You go there, you talk to your group so that you rebuild your image using Lucy name. All the people who are talking about me are your friends. That I agree why all of them saying Lucy yell at them, Lucy does this and this, Lucy does this and this, for you to have an image. I don't refuse. Even today, you call my friend and you tell her, Lucy, everyone in FQN doesn't like Lucy. She's causing a conflict with Lucy.
No.
Lucy, Albina, let Lucy keep going.
I think I was giving you your chance when you talk.
Yeah.
Give me my to finish as I left you. I did not comment on yours.
Yeah, just keep going, Lucy. It's your turn. No problem.
Yeah. You call her and you let her know that everyone in FQN, everyone hates me. Everyone doesn't like to work at me. In fact, she called me back. Lucy, Albina called me and said, everyone in FQN doesn't like you. I say, it is well and good. If everyone doesn't like me, it is good we have a policy. They need to come up and tell me, I, Albina, don't like you. I see, I just an example. James, I don't like you, Lucy, working with anyone. That was what I need to know. Those people who doesn't like me here, working with them, let them just tell me. All the words you guys saying, I'm yelling at you. Just I can get 1% maybe it is true, but 99% is just because you had your group, you discuss this is what you are going to put. It's perfectly well. It is your opinion. You cannot be Lucy, and I cannot be Asif. I cannot be Albina. I can remain Lucy. But if you see Lucy yelling at you, Lucy doesn't know anything. Remember, even though I don't know anything, I think all of us come and approach, we get people who are there. They help us at some points. Don't come after, if I get this Abdul and he helped me to know some other documents, to know how to do this and this. You come, Albina, I help you how to do and this and this. Then later, after you guys, you rebuild yourself, you try to rebuild your image. Rebuild your image in a good way. Don't use some money. Don't use friends for the people to like you. If people don't like me, let them do. If people like you, let them like you in a good way. Don't use somebody's name, please. I'm begging you. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Lucy. So Lucy definitely went off a little bit astray and said some things that were pretty direct and not as much feeling. So we're going to come back to Lucy and we're going to try to get a little bit more of how it made you feel and your personal perceived expressions. But this is at least a good start. There's a lot here, so I'm not expecting anyone to be able to magically repeat all of this back, but let's just start with something and then we'll let Lucy continue. So who would like to repeat back what they heard Lucy say? Albina, Steve, Asif.
I'll give it a shot.
Okay, Steve.
I think the gist of what Lucy's saying is mostly her anger is turned against Albina. She's saying that Albina's telling everyone that nobody likes her and that telling people not to work with her, that she causes all kinds of trouble. And Lucy feels that she doesn't deserve that, and she's not going to be like that. And that's basically, she's saying that everybody, Albina's trying to turn everyone against her. That's how it sounds to me.
Okay, so Lucy, did Steve correctly say what you were trying to express?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, that's good. All right, so does anyone else want to try to say what you heard from Lucy? Albina, Asif? No? Okay, so let's go back to Lucy and then we'll do it again. So Lucy, do you want to challenge yourself a little bit and to get a little bit more into the feelings? You said a couple things like you feel bad, but you didn't get too much into the actions of how you actually felt from what you're hearing. So if you can try to challenge yourself to get more into how you personally felt, that would be helpful. But other than that, you can continue and express whatever you need to express. So let's continue. Lucy.
Okay, I'm not done. On Friday, I came late with James. I just come and ask. I did not even shout. If everyone was waiting to hear from you, people who hate you, definitely they will shout. I just asked you guys, the first thing when I see the document, everything was Lucy. Then I was like, you guys, are you having meeting about Lucy or what? That was my question. I was asking them, why in the meeting Lucy? Is the meeting concerned or is it about Lucy? Then Albina does not allow me even to explain. She started talking, you know. For me, if somebody talking and I was also talking, she don't leave me talking, I will also talk. That's what I was doing. Then I told her, because of you guys, there was a request. I'm just to inform you, or there will be a meeting about this conflict because you said you need to see me this Friday, and I refused, which I did, and I refused. Then they told me I will be on a hard stop or soft stop unless I choose the day to go for conflict. Then I told them, okay, you guys request, the members that request, they need to speak to me. We are having a meeting on Andromeda for conflict or Aquatamu. Albina does not even allow me to explain. It's first thing to shout at me. I really feel bad deep down my heart, especially with what Albina does. I cannot expect to do this to me. For God's sake, even God knows. If I knew before can do this to me, then people need to sit down and remember, God, one day, you still need these people one day. Don't ever in your life go and sit down, discuss, maybe do say Lucy yelling, Lucy do this. Why these old people say that? Because they are your friend. You go and cut with you, talk with you. Why not before you together, Lord saying, lose it now? I think I really feel bad. Before meeting Lucy, I'm even trying to minimize, not to do other things because most of that. For me, I want to talk. When I talk, my voice is high. I don't have any issue with it. Anyone. When my class is top, as you was what I was doing before, like that are comfortable about tactical coordination. I thought maybe you need to ask people when I wish. So when they come and clarify on that, anyone right now, what are you working on? Are you doing? You see my wrong. Sometimes also you know that you cannot just lose. And I really feel bad when group of 4 to 5 people are like Lucy, and all of them against. How do you feel if that was you? Everyone against you. Even if I go to work, they will come and laugh and go to another hangout. So what is that? Is that really working? I even remember before we usually document all our chatting when we are with those of Benji, Julie. If you go back to our documentation for May, June, you will get all documentation. Every chatting you do, you need to document. Even though we have a misunderstanding, it was not like this one. This is not this. You cannot compare misunderstanding. Maybe that I have with Benji and Julie. You consider this. This is beyond. It is a kind of group who are sitting there to make sure Lucy's life is miserable. To make sure Lucy she cannot work in a good environment. To make sure I'm just always Lucy who is posing a problem. Can you guys sit down also and analyze people one by one? Stop analyzing only Lucy.
I'd like to say something, Gus. I'm a little upset now.
No, absolutely not. This is Lucy's turn. You will get a chance to speak and write down what you want to say, and we will get to it. But right now, it's Lucy's turn to express herself. And Lucy should be doing her best I think we're all pretty bad at the nonviolent
yeah.
communications, but
Let me just as a finalize my humble request. If you see that I'm a problem, don't just go and write in a private, write there in a group. Lucy has a problem with me. Guys, can you do this and this? If you see me having a problem with you, please just don't go and speak with the people about my personal issues. That is really what I feel. My personal issues that Albina is telling is Joseph. That's the only thing. Humbly request Albina, stop going and telling people about my life. I know I have a lot about my life. Please, don't ever tell anyone about my life. You just talk to Joseph and tell him everything about my life. It is good. Don't ever do it again, please. That's my humble request. Do it in a community, but if to anyone, please don't just go and tell anyone about my life story. That will remain with the God who created me to be the way I am, who bring me into this world. That's my humble request. With your friend, tell them Lucy has nothing with you. I'm always working with anyone. I think when you join, I help everyone. Any other task you need to know, if I know, I help. I'm willing to work with anyone. If you don't want to work with me, don't show me. Just do it like you pretend you go to other hangout to work with this person you feel like. But for me, I'm very much willing to work with any other person. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Lucy. So so that was obviously an incredible amount of information. It would probably take us 5 or 10 attempts to get all of it, but we're going to do a quick summary. I also want to add that, you know, in general, we're using the word shout a lot. We should try to use raising voice. And I do agree with some of the things that Lucy said, specifically in relationship to her having a high voice, you know, and that her culture, her personality is the way it is in some ways, and that's part of it. Also, she has a request here that will be addressed in full. So whether we address it now or not is not going to be a problem, because we will get to it, and I'll bold it here because that is important. And then lastly, I want to make sure that this particular line and point right here is within the boundaries of nonviolent communication. Lucy stepped over a lot. A lot of what she said was opinionated, but a couple things here, that she felt that the group was working to make her life miserable and make sure that, you know, that right there was how she felt. And so she feels like that is happening to her, right? That there is a group of people who are out to get her or whatever, right? That it doesn't matter whether that's true or not. That's just how she felt. And that is a non-violent statement because it's saying about her perception of it. She isn't accusing anyone. She didn't say it as an accusatory term when she said it, but it could be perceived that way. So let's go ahead and take a couple minutes here to take the second half of what Lucy said. Steve, if Joyce does not come back, you will be the next person on the list to speak, because you obviously want to say something, and so you will go after Lucy. But let's finish Lucy. So who wants to repeat back what they heard Lucy say? Maybe Asif? You want to try it?
Yes, I will definitely. I will just summarize it.
Yeah.
That Lucy told that she doesn't like to be discussed her personal life or her life in the community. If anyone is, you know, discussing her life, it should be documented. It should be in the FQN community, or it should never be discussed to anyone. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, was there anything else? And that was the last things that she said. What about the other parts?
Yeah, I just kind of try to say what you said.
Okay, go for it, Steve. Mm-hmm.
She feels that everybody's ganging up on her, that there are all these 5 people, 6 people that are talking about her behind her back, and everybody's trying to make her life miserable, and that everybody just wants to cause her strife. And she wants to work peaceably with everybody, and nobody's letting her. And if Albina wants to keep making her life miserable, that's fine. But she's not going to, let it affect the way she acts. And basically that, she doesn't understand why there's these 5 people that want to make her life miserable.
Doesn't understand why these 5 people want to make her life miserable. Okay, so Lucy, what Asif and Steve said, did that more or less represent what you said, or were there any omissions or mistakes, Lucy?
There is no omission.
Is that correct? That they said it correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's great. That's really, really good. So trust me, there are many, many times that we've done this where there is no agreement and no communication at all. So with this group, we're way ahead and beyond the normal average. All right. So now we're going to go back to Lucy. Is there anything else you'd like to add? And I would challenge you, Lucy. I would challenge you if you can get in more into your feelings. You talked some about how you felt, and so you did better the second time around. If you want to try again, that would be fine. But I think we're making a little progress here. But was there anything else you wanted to add, Lucy?
I have nothing, but just to request people when they have a problem, don't just go and sit in a group. Address it in a good way. That will be okay. Instead, you come and hear you have been needed for a meeting. That was like, I don't know which meeting. Even the first, when you have, I don't know whether it was a quarter moon, they discuss about conflict. I did not understand. Then at the end of the document, I showed the list of the people that should not work with Lucy. I was like, what? I was innocent. I don't know what's going on. So please, that's just my humble request. Don't always have a group of chatting about people. If you feel like something is not working, go as a group or call me and talk to me.
Great. So I'll just repeat this one. So when we have problems, we should address them in a good way. This is what I heard Lucy say. To come to her, and you need to have a communication and talk in a meeting. That she did not understand what was going on in the quarter moon or the new moon, and that didn't like seeing the list of people who didn't want to work with her, or that what we had written there. So that was probably part of my mistake as well. She felt like she innocent and didn't know what was going on at that time, and that she would request that our policy, which our policy is part of already, that that people don't go off to the side and discuss it in private groups, that in separate smaller groups, that it should be directly addressed and talked with her directly, and that would be a better way to do it. Is that correct, Lucy? Did I say it more or less what you heard, what you said?
It's correct, yeah.
Okay, and I would just add that that our policy is that if there is a conflict and you don't feel comfortable talking to the person, the policy is that you go to a third-party individual to ask for help, to help communicate with that person, not to go gossip with another person without the other person available, right? You're asking for help, not just to gossip and share information, right? So it really should be one, two other people to help bring it back to the person you had the conflict with directly. And that, I agree with you, Lucy, that part of that didn't happen, but we're all here learning together. So I think overall, let's see if there's anything else from Lucy. Was there anything else you wanted to add, or are we good?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, so before we go to Steve, the only thing I want to say is that the goal here is not that everything is perfectly resolved. The goal is just to hear each other out and get the beginning, tip of the iceberg, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many emotions and feelings and experiences and everything in our whole lives that lead up to this moment. So let's go to Steve, and just remember that we're just doing our best here. We're going to address some of these requests afterwards, and we will also hear additional requests and see if we can get some next steps and move things forward. Steve, it is now your turn.
We're going to address my feelings on how what I was just saying. I find it personally an affront for anyone to say that because I'm part of those 5 people she's talking about, that I want to ruin her life, or that I was part of a group trying to ruin her life. But let me finish. That's what she said. That there's this group of 5 or 6 people that spoke at the New Moon session that are trying to ruin her life. Nobody was trying to ruin anybody's life, and I find it affronting that she would think that. Number one, I have better things going on in my life, like getting married, than to worry about ruining anybody's life. Number two, as far as talking to you personally, and you can deny it if you want to, when we have spoken to you, the reason we're at this stage is because everybody tried talking to you personally and working it out. And that's why we've reached this stage, because we didn't go through policy and we tried talking to you and working out. I've spoken to you. Asif has spoken to you. I know other people have spoken to you. I don't know about Albina. I don't know about, I know Joyce has spoken to you. We've all tried to work it out with you. So don't say that we haven't tried to work it out. Don't turn around and be defensive like always and make me feel like I'm wrong for being upset, or make anyone else feel like they're wrong for being upset. Well, we have tried to do it the way that you just said, to talk to you like a human being without yelling, without screaming. Everybody, I don't know about everybody, at least 3 of the 5 people involved, I know for a fact, have spoken to you and tried to work it out with you. Okay, and for you to say that me or anyone, I don't know about the other people, me or anyone else is trying to ruin your life, that's just being affronting to all of us.
Cool. So this is Steve's chance, so we're going to stick with Steve. And see if you want to go next, you can. I am, as facilitator, going to add that in my perceived perception, Lucy was implicating in the last week, and we all know that this conflict and issue has been going on for months and months and months. So I think there are 2 things that she was perceiving and saying, but either way, let's just have someone repeat back what Steve said. Asif, did you want to repeat it back, or Lucy, do you want to repeat back what you heard Steve say? Asif, Lucy, Miguel, Albina.
Steve said that. Steve said that we people were after you to get this resolved, but till this stage it hasn't been resolved and come to this session.
Okay, Steve, was that what you said? I don't know if
that was a very minor part of what I said. Yes.
Okay, so does someone else want to try, or Steve, do you want to repeat it, or?
I'll just read one line.
Okay.
I am personally insulted and affronted that you think that I, or mostly anyone else, but I can only talk about myself, that I would want to ruin your life, and that it's so important what's going on here that I'm going to ruin somebody's life. And I spoke to you about this in the last week also. So it's not like we didn't talk in the last week. Okay? And you feel that we're trying to ruin your life is personally affronting. That you think that I would do that. I can't talk for other people. But do you think that I would do that? That I would intently go out and try to ruin your life is personally affronting.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from Steve is that when he heard Lucy say that she felt that the group of 5 people were trying to ruin her life, that that Steve felt that was personally insulting, and that he felt personally insulted, and that he would try to or want to ruin someone's life or Lucy's life, and that he also added that he talked last week with Lucy directly. So is that pretty clear, Steve, what you said? Steve? Is that correct? Maybe we lost Steve.
Yes. I'm sorry, I lost my mic for a second. Yes, that's correct.
All right. So, I would challenge Lucy, if you want to try to repeat what Steve said. Again, this is what Steve said in his perception of it. Lucy, do you want to try to repeat it, or should we move on?
We shall just move on. We can move on.
Okay. So obviously we all heard what Steve said. Steve, do you have anything else to add?
We are good.
I'm good.
Okay, so Asif, did you have something you wanted to add? Because you did jump in there for a second.
I have something also.
Okay, so after Asif will be Albina. Asif, did you have anything?
We got
Yeah,
30 minutes.
Okay.
No, I get this.
Just now, she told that there are a group of people who are trying to ruin his life. I must state over here that I will strongly disagree with this statement of Lucy, because no one is here to ruin anyone's life. We are here to work. We are here to listen, to teach, to respect, to obey each and every individual. Okay, and there are two things which I observed in Lucy. Okay, it's my own perspective, it's my own point of view. And if these two things are out of Lucy, Lucy is awesome in person, you know. One thing, she is getting, you know, she's exaggerating the things in her mind. She's thinking a lot in her mind, negative things. One. Okay. And secondly, she is behaving like a child when she is upset.
I wanted to say it and I didn't. She's behaving like a 12-year-old.
If these two things are out of Lucy, believe me, she is one of the top most person in the community. As a worker, as a coordinator, as a manager, Lucy is best. I mean, I have no shame in saying the name of Abdul, Lucy, you know, like Steve. These three, four people are awesome, but no one is perfect. Okay, no one is perfect. Okay, and these two things are out of Lucy, and she is awesome. Do not think negative about yourself. Do not exaggerate. Okay, or do not, you know, manipulate the things in between, because the things are different. What you are listening or what you are understanding, the things are very much different. I request, please think positive. It will make your life beautiful, very much, you know, positive. You should be optimistic. You should be positive. Don't think negative. Thank you guys.
Okay, Steve, if you want to say something, we can add you after Albina. Does anyone want to repeat what Asif said? I guess I can just quickly. We're getting to the point where I can feel some of the tension already subsiding somewhat, and we're going to be able to get to just normal back and forth and without having to repeat things. But since we're still kind of in the repeating mode, what I heard Asif say was that he disagrees with the statement that anyone's trying to ruin anyone's life, and that we're all here to work together, listen, and respect each other, and that there's two things that he would love to see, you know, Lucy, you know, evolve. Right, this is part of the evolution. It's not a request. This is just an observation, and that he feels that Lucy can exaggerate things and make things exaggeratively negative. And he also feels that, in essence, his perception and his feeling of Lucy's, quote, outbursts would be tantrum-like, right? That sometimes Lucy can have a tantrum about it. And so in other words, he feels that Lucy could transform herself and transform her life and transform her relationship with the African Community Network by, you know, focusing on just what is, you know, reducing exaggerations and thinking positively, and building a beautiful, optimistic future out of that positivity. So that's what I heard. Is that, Asif, is that pretty accurate what you said?
100% correct.
Great. Okay, cool. So we're going to go on to Albina. I'm just going to quickly say that, you know, we are all here learning. I've been doing this for 2 decades. And trust me, when I started, I was a mess. I was basically an outspoken white male, cutting people off, being a terrible facilitator. Like, I mean, bad, right? But we learn and we grow. So nobody is stuck where everybody's learning, everyone's growing. And I'm not going to ask this to Albina, but it would be curious. I mean, we don't hire people or in any way even care about people's age. We are not ageists as FCUN Community Network. We hire people regardless of your backgrounds and your age or whatever. So I have no idea how old people are. I don't even check. And it would be interesting to know for me in this point how old Lucy is. I don't really care, but if you wanted to share, you're welcome to. But if, like, let's say you were under 20 or under 30 years old, it would make sense to me in that perspective, in that all of us have a lot to grow, and people younger have more to grow because they're learning still, right? So anyways, let's go to Albina and hear from you, Albina, unless there was something else that Asif needed to say. And then we're going to go to Steve again, I believe. And
okay, Jake, for me personally, I'm really shocked about what Lucy is exaggerating. And this thing, I've just come to learn that it is beyond even when it is personal issue now with me and Lucy. Because the same person, she says that I tell the friend called me and said, everywhere she tells the friends that I am fighting her at FQN, at the job we are doing. Everyone knows that we are working online and I'm fighting her. Now, if Lucy says that the 5 people, I'm insulting these 5 people to fight her back. For the case of Julie, when they have conflict with Julie, I was not even in FQN that time. So please, Lucy, if this is the personal issues, then we should just end this here and we will handle it outside FQN. Because everything you are just saying, like now, Joseph knows you better than even I do. So how can I go and discuss Joseph threaten your life then? I think this is even beyond FQN. Actually, this is just beyond, and it's just on a personal level, which we will just handle outside.
Okay, does anyone want to repeat what we heard from Albina?
Albina is very frustrated about the attitude of Lucy, and she's saying that she's not, deal in FQN now, and she will take it beyond FQN, and it is on personal level now.
Is that correct, Albina?
Yeah, this is personal issues, and even it's not even related to work. It's beyond. Asif is right.
Okay, so I'm just gonna interject here a moment, and then we'll go back to Albina. If you have more to say, you can say it. But I will say that all conflict mediation, 100% of it, in nonviolent communication, all of this is 100% personal communication in conflict, right? So on the business side, there's the policies, the systems, following the policies, making sure we're treating each other professionally. But generally speaking, our policies are that everything in relationship to our work as individuals in the FCUN Community Network is public and open. And there isn't necessarily direct private interaction, although people can develop private personal relationships and lives together if they wanted to. That would be separate from FCUN, obviously. But the point is that we're here because there is a conflict between you and Albina, and that's perfectly fine. And it is personal, but we're here to create space to address it and deal with it and help you guys and help all of us learn about ourselves and learn better ways of communicating. So it doesn't matter that it's personal or not personal. Everything we heard over the last hour or more is 100% personal. It's all personal, right? We already addressed the policy issues. There will be more policy issues that will come, but it is personal. So, and it's fine. Personal happens first, and then work comes based on the foundation of our personal relationships, but we do not have to like each other in order to work together. So, Albina, do you have more that you want to add?
Yeah, what I'm requesting is that when we come to work, let's just work. If we have personal issues, then let us handle it in a different platform. Because I see many things discussed here is not even concerning the job. Now it's even attaching other people who are not even involved in the organization. So for me personally, what I want is let us just create an environment for work. Then if there is an issue outside FQN, then let us handle it outside.
Cool. So what I'm trying to say is that if 2 people come and are working at FQN and there's issues between them, it's all part of FQN. Unless they created some sort of separate friendship where they're meeting in person and doing activities and playing games or whatever separate from work, there is no personal relationship. It's a personal conflict and it's based on personal issues, but we as an organization, as a network, create space to address interpersonal issues and conflict, and we require that it is addressed, right? So all I'm trying to say is that if you and Lucy have some type of personal relationship separate from FQN Community Network, it makes sense. If you don't, it's really not an issue, right? Like you can request to go off and do something, but that could literally be against our policy unless there's some other type of relationship that we don't understand or know about, right? So what I'm trying to say is our personal issues are the foundation for our work communication and how we treat each other and how we work together. Right? They're, for me, I don't see a difference. But we will still address the request because we can change their policies. So we have 1, 2, 3 requests. Anything else you want to add, Albina?
Not really.
Okay. All right. So I think we're ready to move on. Let's go back to Lucy. Steve, is it okay to go to Lucy first and then go back to you?
Yeah.
Lucy, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I want just to question Asif and the way they said that I behave like childish. Can you explain to me how the childish behave before I comment on something?
Cool. So Lucy wants to have an explanation on your observation of the childish behavior / tantrum / etc. Like what would be the opposite of that, etc. etc. Why do you say that? And try to do your best to do observatory words, non-violent words, non-opinionated. Just explain your perception.
Yeah, definitely. No worries.
Sorry for interrupting. I need to check out.
Okay, Miguel. Thanks for being here. You did really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, and for all the people, try to overcome your conflicts and be willing to not to forget, but just to forgive, to give pardon to the other person and to you. That's key. That's really key because there's a lot of hate in this world. You need to be more loving one with each others, and especially if you want to forgive somebody, do it and not forgive what happened. Try to fix it, but continue forth. Continue forth with love, with care. And I like a lot FQN. I like a lot the people who is working with me. We got a nice attitude. So this right now is helping us to be a better community. So embrace it and take the most of it and of Jay, because Jay, I'm learning a lot. I want to stay, but I need to go. So I'm very grateful. Thank you very much for this. And I know you can, every single guy here can do it, and woman can do this. So the best of lucks.
Well, thank you, Miguel. And so let's go to Asif. And Asif, I mean, I think we're to the point where we don't really need to do the repetition. If things heat up a little bit, we can do more, but I feel like things have cooled down a lot. So Asif, let's just go. I don't know if we need to repeat what you said, but just go for it.
First of all, I'm not, I'm not angry with anyone, or I'm just talking in a very humble way, that sometimes when you are, you are dealing with anyone, you should, behave like you are listening to the other person, not just, start shouting or no. Just listen to other person, what he's trying to say, and give your opinion. It's not that you're always right. It's not that you're always wrong, okay? But you should act like, like an adult person. You should not start your train from, from California and then to, New York. No, you have to listen. You have to stay back. You have to remain in the stations. So just listen to other person what he's actually trying to say. Do not exaggerate. Do not think from yourself. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I'm not trying to hurt Lucy over here. But what I feel, this thing should be, should be taken off from Lucy, and might possible. And I'm pretty much sure that after this session, after this meeting, it will be a major change in everybody's life, in everybody's point of thinking. Okay, if I'm thinking negative about anyone, it will after this meeting it will change now, and I'm very much hopeful that this platform which you have given to us, Jay, is very much agreeable, is very much authentic, and the way everybody expresses his feelings or her feelings. Not personal, it's just professional. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Asif. So we're going to go to Lucy, and then we're going to go to Steve. Lucy's in general, Asif obviously was expressing his perception. Whether or not you were acting like a child or not is not the point. It's just his perception. He would like you to be more professional and more communicative at an adult level, which is difficult. It's not easy to be an adult. So let's go to Lucy. Let's hear what else you need to say, and then we'll go to Steve. Lucy.
I think that is not the way you can analyze someone. It's as if you need to use another word. You cannot just analyze according to your own opinion. You just say this person is behaving like childish. You need to use at least other word. At the back of your mind, you think I'm a childish, but just use other word. You cannot just use that word and think that I'm happy for that word.
Yeah.
Answering on Albina about there is a personal issue. There is nothing that I'm going to discuss with you about what you say. Maybe we can go and discuss it, this and this. I think I just had enough. I don't want more thing again anymore. To just go and again do a follow-up with you with what happened. It's always happened, in this world, you don't expect everything to go the way you are doing. And always when you are in a group, I can just still remind you, if group of people are against you, if 3 to 4 people are having the same mind, definitely if you are the only one, they will defeat you. So, you guys, you see as I'm behaving like maybe the way you see Lucy's don't behave well, these guys behave well. Sit down also, analyze yourself. Don't really focus on analyze someone how that person is speak, how that person behave. You need to know that person personally, the way that person is talking. I think what I really involve with you guys maybe during participation. That's what you don't want. Maybe I will reduce most of the participation, especially being facilitated. I think that will be the best for me. I will reduce doing more facilitation work. Maybe I'll just come during the body teams. If I don't feel like I go, because I see it bring an issue with me. Every person saying Lucy is like this and this. I'm begging Albina, your group, and I will still remain saying that. Please, if you have anything, leave Lucy alone. Let Lucy be the way she is. She was created by God to talk, not to go against anyone. I'm not really against anyone, you guys. I don't understand why you keep on repeating Lucy, she's aggressive. Lucy, she's ignorant. I don't know all these kind of words. You don't really go down and think why Lucy was so annoyed. If someone go deep down your life and tell the life you undergo before, I think you feel like that's not good. And again, you come to hang out, a group of people is still, if you go there, they go other way. So how do you feel as if you are the only one person We are 4 of us. We need to see you. Most of the time when you come to hang out, you move to another place. How do you feel? You are the only one. Are you feeling good? You will not. You will feel like you have that feeling. I'm a human. I have that feeling. These people hate me. In fact, they write on that list of the people. That's really what I come to realize. Indeed, there's people who does not want me to work with them. When I saw that list of the people that should not work with Lucy, and I really love to see those lists, those people. I don't know why they did not write their names so that I know. We asked them one by one. I know all of them, they will know that Lucy is ignorant. She's shouting at the people. I think everyone has a high voice. No one, absolutely no one always coming and talk like a normal. Everyone is always having their own voice. Steve has her own voice. Albina also shouting. It is becoming like Lucy. I think everyone is here having their own time or talking. We said you as if when you talk, sometimes you say, I don't want anyone to interrupt with you. No, you guys, stop. That is you, not Lucy. Albina the same. It's still the same. You should not just say Lucy like shouting. Sit down also and analyze other people. Don't focus on one person. Please, don't focus on me. Focus on what you bring you here, do your work, and go.
Thank you, Lucy. So I'm going to let Steve go here, but I do want to agree with Lucy that it's obvious that she's not the only one who raises her voice and cuts people off and goes back and forth and causes problems, right? So I just want to agree with that. Check. Steve.
I am probably the worst person when it comes to cutting people off. I know it. I know it's a shortcoming. But it's a fact. None of us are perfect. But from listening to what Lucy just said, it appears to me that this whole conversation over the last hour accomplished nothing. But she's still saying that we all have it in for her, that it's all personal, that we don't like her, that we don't want her. You know, that's what I'm hearing. That she's going to cut back her hours and that, you know, we all got it in for her. Nobody has it in for you. We just, listen, I have a temper. I have a temper. And when I get aggravated, I know I have to count to 10 before I talk. And I'm 56 years old. I'm not a child. But I know I have a temper, and like any youngster, I can blow my cool. So when I get mad, sometimes, you know, I might just have you hear dead silence because I'm counting to calm down. Maybe when you get upset and you think it's personal, you just need to take a second and calm down before you respond so it doesn't appear that you're yelling. If you're saying you're not yelling, you have a high voice, well and good. I'm not going to agree or disagree. But if that's the case, then maybe you just need to take a second and calm down before you respond so it doesn't appear that you're yelling, and that would solve half the problem. All right? Just everybody, listen, we've spent 2.5 hours on this. We need to get on. We need to resolve it. Not today. It's not going to all resolve now. But everybody needs maybe to just stop and think about what was said today, and then maybe pick it up at the next meeting or the next main session when we're all together, not the Andromeda. Because I think we're at the point of diminishing returns now, Jay.
Yeah, I think we did really good. I think we're definitely done and ready to move on. So just to wrap up here, and obviously we can continue with Andromeda or future moon sessions. The goal here today was just to get it all out on the table. I can see from all sides, you know, that there was good expression and people expressed themselves well. There was also some things that weren't perfectly understood. I have to say, in relationship to anyone's experience, when you have, you know, 4 or 5 people all agree to something and one person as an outsider, it's just a difficult experience no matter what. So we can see it in Lucy's perspective, regardless of whether it's happening. In her perspective, it's a rational, understandable reaction to what happened, right? So in that context, I do want to say a couple things on the policies. One is that we're all here working together, and according to the policies, everybody's required to work with everybody. If you are like nobody has been asked to not work with Lucy. Lucy, you are supposed to be working with everybody. If there's somebody who can't work with Lucy, that's a problem and has to be addressed. And at this point in time, nobody has been told that they're allowed to not work with somebody else. Period. All right. Additionally, our policy is buddy teams of 2 to 3 people. This is very important to understand. There is one person that would be an individual session, which is fine. Right? If there are 2 people, you work together in a buddy team, right? That is the policy. You can't just go off on your own and do 2 individual sessions. You work together in a buddy team unless there's some permission or some reason to not. If there's 3 people, you work together in a 3-person buddy team. That's the policy. You cannot just say one person has to go off on their own while the other 2 people work. That's against the policy. That's not what we do. We work in buddy teams. There's 3 people. You have 3 people in the buddy team. Right? If there is 4 people, you have to split up into 2 buddy teams of 2. You cannot have 1 person in one hangout and 3 in the other. That is against the policies. Okay, so bottom line, if there's someone being ostracized or left out of any buddy team session, that's a problem, right? Every single buddy team should always have buddies. Everyone should be buddied up or there is no buddy teams, right? So that's important to make sure it's really clear. Whether or not it happened or not, I just need to address that because it was stated. As far as options for moving forward, we have the Andromeda session. We have the options of, like we said, we could propose temporary, rules in terms of people working together if there's problems. From there, we can talk about how we address things in the process for people. This is primarily to when there is an issue, how to address it with 1 to 2 other people, aka a buddy team, right? Buddy team. So it typically should be possible to address an issue without necessarily needing 5 people. Either way, it doesn't matter. When you have a problem addressed in a good way, it said, this is the same thing. I missed something? And the other one was the personal issues, which we can address separately. Oh yeah, not to speak about people's personal lives separately. So these are the requests. We can deal with those later. I don't think anyone has any direct problems with the requests. And other than that, obviously there's endless other, like there's conflict resolution and mediation that can happen. This was literally just trying to do some nonviolent communication. We weren't great at it. We did our best. And then from there, we can also do third-party mediation, third-party involvement if necessary. So there's a lot that can still be done. But overall, as long as we're all on the same page that this is just the beginning, the more we address it, the more we don't ignore it, the easier it'll get for all of us. All of us can work together. Unless someone wants to propose that we need some immediate, restraint or issue, like where everything currently stands at the status is that everybody's working together normally, regardless of whether you're with Lucy or not, or other buddy teams, and everybody needs to work on their communication and listening and not cutting each other off and not raising your voice, because that's hard. Sweet. So is there anything else on the options for moving forward that people can think of? Or that we need to address before we move forward?
No, we should have the pulse of working with each other. Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, cool. Albina, anything else? Okay, and then Lucy, I just want to make sure it's very clear that, the idea of people either not working with you or working with you was just an option that had been discussed. It was never agreed upon. Nobody ever had any intention of saying that you shouldn't be working with anybody or that you should be ostracized in any way whatsoever. So do you understand that, Lucy, that you are a full member? Part of our processes is that doesn't matter if there's literally 20 people against one person. That one person has just as much power, and we protect the minority in this culture. Like, that's the space that we're bringing, and we're not just a majority rules organization, right? We protect the power of the minority and the vote and the perception of the minority, because we always and will always strive towards consensus. That means 100% approval from everybody. That's always the goal. even though we can pass proposals and move things forward legally without consensus, we still strive for it. So Lucy, do you understand that we are all supporting you? We wouldn't be here doing this without supporting you. Does that make sense, Lucy? And we want you to work with everybody.
Yes.
Okay, good. So I think we're all on the same page here. This is really good. And it does take time, but I think it's worth it. So I think we're done. I think we can check out and then we're done, right? Are we all good? Anything else that anyone needs to address?
Jay?
Yes, James.
For me, I think moving forward is that when maybe we are conducting some buddy teams, that it should be mandatory that people do recording, like maybe even audio recordings, so that these recordings might be able to assist us in case a conflict arises.
Yeah. So James, I think you're 100% correct. The truth of the matter is that it already is mandatory. Our policy is that every single buddy team must be recorded and shared, period. That's the policy. There is nothing that happens in this organization that isn't publicly accountable to the second, because it all needs to be recorded and documented. So therefore, if we're not following the policies, that's a bigger problem, right? So we need to think about what the repercussions are. What are the repercussions for not following the recording and documentation policies? For example, we already have a policy that states that you cannot be level 4. So we could remove everybody who's not making recordings, and they can no longer be level 4. They can no longer be senior Sextant managers, and that would just be automatic. And then that might get people recording. Does that make sense, James?
Yes.
Cool.
And if you can't video record, you can audio record.
Yeah.
Which is real simple.
Yeah,
anybody with Windows can download Simple Record as an extension, and it's the easiest recording in the world.
Yeah, and as a in my recording, over 90% of all the recording I do is all just audio. Cool. So any other options for moving forward, recommendations, anything else before we check out?
Just a question, Jay.
Yeah.
What if we have like a 3 buddy teams? These 3 people, they need to have their own recording, right?
Yes, 100%. Every single buddy team, even if there's 5 buddy teams or 10 buddy teams, all have to have their own recording. When we break up into 2 groups for our main sessions, when we have over 10 people, both sessions have to record and document. Right? The same thing would be true when we break up into our buddy teams with 2 to 3 people. Each and every buddy team records and documents everything, and it's all publicly accountable and publicly accessible at all times. 100%. Thank you for the question, Lucy. Anything else?
No.
Cool. Awesome. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So there are many organizations within the FCON Community Network. And each individual organization can have their own policies on recording and documentations and what is public and what is not public. But at the highest levels of the FCON Community Network and as servants to the public and to the whole network of organizations, everything that we do should be neutral, and there shouldn't be any need to have private conversations because we have nothing to hide. We're not even an organization. We're really a network. We're just here to serve the needs of all the other organizations and our clients and the public. Right. So, if there's some sort of potential legal issue of something that has to be private, we will address it when we get to that, because it can happen, but it's rare. And usually that would happen within an organization, not within the network itself. All right. I think we are good to go. So let's do quick checkouts. How everything went for you. Any other next steps that you want to remember? I will start. This is Jay. I thought this was a really good session. It was long, but this needed to happen. And I know it seems like maybe we didn't accomplish much, but trust me, like 10 times more was accomplished than you could ever imagine. In the context of what I need to do is I need to focus on Canopy, stabilizing our funds. Generally things are looking okay on that, but we're way behind on calculating our potential gains or losses. And I do need help with that. Also, if someone wants to work on FQN payroll processing, we're ready to process the rest. We did all the transfers, the money, so I'm available tonight or tomorrow. And I'm sure me and Miguel will take care of it tomorrow.
I just wanted to add that I've been, trading in, this Bitcoin for quite a couple of months. So is it possible to have a little bit trading on Canopy so I can get a better idea? So in which way we are going?
Of course, it just needs to be prioritized. So today we prioritized what we did. We had Canopy on the agenda. Eventually we'll get to it, or come to a buddy team. Let's schedule a buddy team and then work on it.
Yeah, perfect.
Cool. Asif, do you want to check out?
Yeah, really. Yeah, Asif Iqbal first. All right, Jay, shall I start?
Do you want to check out, Asif?
Yes, okay. Yeah, guys, it was a really an effective session, and it was a really an emotional session as well to me, because in the middle of the conversation, I was teared up. My eyes were shedding because I was thinking that, am I hurting someone? Am I really creating a problem to anyone? But I really, and I really, apologize to all of you, especially to my dear friend Lucy, to my little sister Lucy, that, forget everything and forgive everybody. And it happens, even in family, two sisters and brothers are fighting, so it's not a big deal, okay? It happens, it's normal. We are human beings, okay? So please forgive us, please, if we ever hurted you, or intentionally or unintentionally, please forgive us. And guys, if from my side anything from my mouth came out wrong, which might get affected to you people, please forgive me. Thank you, guys.
All right, Mazi.
Yeah, guys. Thanks for the session. It was a great session, and I hope we will have a good time in future, and I hope there will be nothing like this again. And I'm happy to be with you people. Thank you.
James.
Okay, guys. I'm going to thank everybody who attended this session, and thanking everybody who contributed to the topic about conflict evolution. I think it was a long time coming, and it's good that every day we are trying to define the conflict evolution process. And one day I know that we will reflect on this session as a guideline to what we are supposed to do in terms of solving conflict. So thank you, guys, and God bless you.
Steve.
All right, Steve. Unfortunately, I feel like not that much was accomplished today, because nobody addressed what made the 5 people want to have a meeting. Nobody addressed. We all addressed how we felt, but not what the problem was and what we're going to do if the problem continues. So hopefully, moving forward, that will be brought up also. Of course, otherwise, this is nothing's going to change, and we need to change, because we can't go on like it is. We can't have this kind of strife. We all need to work like a family and like a team, which we do when everybody's good, and when the things are like this, there's just nobody's getting as much work done. It slows down productivity. It slows down on everything.
So, Steve,
I
hope
that we're going to move forward. I hope that at the Andromeda meeting, or at the next quarter moon or the full moon session, whatever we can, go even further with this and get it, where everybody's happy. I wasn't happy to hear Lucy say that she still feels like she's going to cut her hours and not work as much, which nobody wants that for her. I hope we close some of the wounds a little bit today. I know it felt good to get how I felt off my chest. I hope it made some other people feel good to get stuff off their chest. Now we need to maybe take the time to examine what was said. Maybe read the notes from this meeting again, so some good notes were taken, and for everyone to think about what was said today. Check.
Okay, so Steve, a couple things here. One is that, what I heard Lucy say is that she wants to step back in some of her responsibilities to not facilitate as much, to potentially focus more on the work and come to buddy team sessions more if she's supported and accepted to do that. I didn't necessarily say that she wanted to cut down her hours and just not work. I think she said more that she doesn't need to facilitate and step up into some of the leadership positions that she was doing. That's what I heard. But we'll hear from her perception as well. Also, you said that we didn't address what the 5 people want, why the 5 people want to have the meeting. Why did the 5 people want to have the meeting, and what is it that needs to be addressed?
I think I'm the only one to address the way she makes people feel when she starts yelling and disrespecting anybody. Everybody was pussyfooting around it, and nobody really wanted to come out and say, we're tired of being yelled at. Please stop yelling at us. Because you wanted to be such nonviolent, confrontational talk that you can't say that in a nonviolent way, in a non-confrontational way. We're tired of being yelled at. We love you. We want to work with you, but we can't stand being yelled at. Please stop. And just take 10 seconds and think about what you say when you're upset. Don't take it personally. It's not about you. Just calm down and let's get back to working without raising our voices.
Okay, so obviously that is a difficult thing to address in general because everybody does do that to a certain extent. But I do believe that we did talk about that. I think the idea that we didn't address that at all is a little odd to hear that. But anyways,
that we didn't discuss it at all. I think maybe it just was, it wasn't. Maybe in my opinion, it wasn't prioritized to the amount that it should have been.
Okay, can you think of
that? It was more about how we people spoke about behind her back and then why it happened. Okay. I think the why of it wasn't prioritized enough.
The why, yeah, because we could go deeper into the why, and I think that's good. So I added that to our options of where we want to go next for next steps. And then also, it's difficult. It's very, very, very difficult, and we just have to do our best. So we'll just see how things.
Of course, evolve. That's all we can do.
And if people can think of policy proposals, for example, what is our policy when people do raise their voice and do start yelling? What is the role of for example, the senior manager? What is the role of the facilitator? What are people supposed to do? I think that we can have guidelines there minimally. Okay.
Well, we kind of do. That's why we have election rankings and rankings of people, who are in charge of buddy teams and managers in main sessions. I think maybe people just need to start using the authority they have when those situations arise, to at least diffuse it for the day and say, this has to end today. Let's stop it today. We'll pick up again tomorrow.
Cool.
And whoever the person doing the yelling is, be told, listen, but today, just let's go work on everybody with somebody else, but let's stop the yelling now. We have, a system set up where people have authority to do that. Maybe people have to start using that authority in the proper way.
Cool. So how do we use our existing authority in the proper way? I think that's perfectly stated. Proper way. Cool.
People have to not be afraid of hurting somebody else's feelings if they have to use that authority.
Yeah.
Like I said, it made me feel very bad to have to say that to her one day, but I said it because it was necessary.
Yeah, great. All right.
If you don't stop, I'm going to use my HR. As a senior HR person, I'm going to do what I got to do.
Yeah, but what's important?
It made me feel like garbage, but I did it because it was necessary.
Yeah.
Because it was completely effective.
Totally.
Other people have to be willing when and only when it becomes to a point where there's no other option to do that.
Okay, cool.
But
so
it also has to be recorded so that everybody can see that it wasn't a personal attack or anything else, that it was done for the right reasons.
Yeah. Okay, so the only other thing I want to say is that when we do get into the policy discussions, what's the most important thing about the policies is that once we start talking about the policies, it's no longer about Lucy. It's about everybody and how we all follow the policies and how it's applicable to all situations. So that's one of the great things about the policy discussions is because they're about everybody. Okay, so let's move on to Albina, and then we'll end with Lucy, and then we're going to be up.
And then we'll end this. That sounds good.
Yeah. Albina, you want to check out? Albina, you're muted. I don't know. Maybe she stepped out earlier because she hasn't talked for a while. It's been almost an hour.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah, you're muted.
Sorry. Okay, this was a good session for me, I can say, with so many personal emotions and expressions. But thank you, Jay, for being patient to listen to all of us. It's my humble request that we get done with the conflict and we move forward to do the productive work. Thank you.
And Lucy, last, not least. Check out.
Thank you all guys for today's session. Really traumatized me all these times I'm told second group need to speak with me and I was not sure what is going on. When you go, people are still like, you see only chatting. When someone says screen, you see what they chat about you, like, what am I done really? It was really, I really felt bad about it. At least now, anyway, we can just move on like that. Thank you, Jay, for all to try to solve all these issues. I know it is not easy. But it's coming to saying that this group of 5 needs to talk to me about yelling, shouting. I can just remind you, this is not only Lucy yelling, not only Lucy shouting. I think everyone is shouting. It's just because these people have been together, they see that according to their own opinions, Lucy shouting. Don't just go and analyze Lucy shouting. Can you just put it as a group? Just come up with the policies that everyone can understand, not coming up and say this is as if this is Lucy. But because I see everything is here, Lucy. Come up with the policy that we had before, especially with this private chatting. I think if we go back to our documents, we have all the chatting that we chat. Even you chat with someone, even if it is on your private, before we documents, if you go back to our report, you can see on our documents. Whatever we chat, we document. This is where issues come. These people, they come and see at you, they look like, then they go to other hangout, they chat and laugh. They just do something that irritates you. So that they can earn their own image. That's not good.
Cool. So
for me, really,
so
I'm going to interrupt. Lucy thinks she did nothing wrong. And that's the biggest problem of everything. Lucy can never be wrong. I didn't want to say it all night. Lucy's biggest problem is Lucy can never be wrong.
Okay, guys.
Now I'm hanging up. Goodbye.
Okay, take care, Steve. Obviously, these things take time and are not going to just be resolved immediately. But I do want to mention one thing here. When you say, Lucy, that they come and they go to other hangouts and they laugh and they do other things, they irritate you and that is the definition of conflictatory language, because you are talking your opinion about all the other people and what they are doing as opposed to talking about yourself, right? So obviously Steve is going to get upset because you're talking about all these people as if they're not even there. You're not even acknowledging the fact that all these they people and what they do, we're all literally here listening. You know what I mean? So just it's very difficult to learn nonviolent communication, but focus on yourself, what your I statements are and how you feel. I will agree 100% that you are not the only one raising your voice. And I think using the the vocabulary of raising our voice instead of yelling, screaming, shouting, those are all opinionated terms. When we say someone is yelling, we are saying they are talking stupidly and they're an idiot because they yelled. That's what it means. So we need to stop using the words yelling, screaming, shouting. All of those terms are derogatory terms because they speak badly and negatively about the person. We need to use terms like raising your voice, cutting the other person off. Those are neutral terms, okay? So, and also I 100% agree that we need better policies on how we address people raising their voice and communicating. And Steve himself said he's one of the worst at, getting angry, getting upset, and all that kind of stuff. And we all have our issues with everybody here, right? And how we communicate. So it's not just you, Lucy. I think we can all agree on that. So anyways, let's just move on. Anyone who says that they want this to be dealt with and done and not have to ever address it again, you're just lying to yourself and you're kidding yourself. It's not how the world works, right? Every single day, every single time we communicate, we cause little rifts and they just all add up. And so even if we fully address this issue and completely resolve it 100%, the next day, more rifts will occur and we have to do it again. So it's a never-ending goal, and it's very difficult. So thank you, everybody. Lucy, we did technically cut you off. So if you have anything else you want to say to end your checkout, and if anyone else needs to say anything other than that, we are done. Oh, look, Steve is back.
All right,
I've been back.
So Lucy, did you? Thanks for coming back. Lucy, did you have anything else you wanted to say to check out?
No, I just want to tell Steve I have no any problem, Steve, that you say I don't want to accept. Even you cannot accept something that you don't know. So you need also to understand you cannot accept something you don't know. You accept something you know. And I accept, I'm telling you, I'm someone who has, I think, the high voice that people thought I'm yelling. That's not the way to go.
Sure. Okay.
I'm okay with it. And I'm very much happy for this. I think also these are learning points, and we continue learning through this.
Right.
I have no problem with anyone, and I'm ready to work with anyone.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. And I have to say here, I'll just use the perspective of being a white male. It doesn't matter that I'm a white male and that I may be loud and cut people off when I was in my 20s or whatever. It's inexcusable, right? It's like we are a group of paid people who are doing work for clients and other things with the goal of helping and supporting other movements. Once we eventually get involved, if we actually succeed, right, and get involved with the bigger movements and actually are supporting the work that we're doing, we will see that the way that we interact and the way we do it is completely inappropriate compared to how some of these movements, like the feminist movement, we need to be able to work with and talk with feminists across the world, right? We need to be able to work with different religious organizations, different cultures. Like it's not even funny. So I can't just go into a feminist organization and say oh, I'm just a white male and I didn't know that I was doing anything. And that doesn't work like that, right? When you are responsible for your perceived actions in this organization as the African Community Network, right? So maybe we need to write up a policy on that and make it clear that you saying, oh, I don't yell, it's just my voice, whatever. It doesn't matter, right? Sure, whether I think you're yelling or not, it's fine. But if anybody in the organization or anybody in the entire world communities that we're working with, like a feminist organization or whatever, feels like you're being misogynist or feels that you are being are yelling or has an opinion or perception that you are being too masculine or whatever, it doesn't matter whether you are or not. If they're perceiving it, it looks badly on the organization. We have to be able to work with all cultures, and we will have policies that state that certain people should not be working with certain of our clients and community organizations because maybe they are too masculine and they don't interact very well with feminists. But the point is that everybody needs to take it upon themselves to learn how to speak in a way that is communicative and correct for the space, right? So yes, it's true. This is just my personality. But as a paid worker in this organization, you have to go beyond that. That's not enough. You also have to learn how to change to interact with other cultures and meet their guidelines and their recommendations, period. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that we all have to challenge ourselves to do that, because I think that's part of what is frustrating Steve, right, is that he's not hearing that challenge from some of the people, right? That it just be like, yes, this may be the way that I am, but I am willing to change my way. I'm willing to be less masculine. I'm willing to make sure I listen to females. I'm willing to hear people out, even if that is the way that I am, because I want to function in cultures and communities that are not my own. And it's not easy, right? So that's for everybody, including Lucy, including Steve, including myself, including Steve, including Miguel, everybody. It's very difficult. There is not a single person that exists in the entire world that can go into every culture and interact with them in a professional and non-intrusive and non-abusive way. It's literally impossible. You have to learn it, and you have to learn it one culture at a time, right? And there's thousands of cultures. So it's literally impossible for one single person to know how to perfectly interact with all other cultures and people across the world, right? And so to think that you can, and that the way that you personally are is perfectly fine, is just not, period. Okay, so I think that's a good place to end. Steve, did you have anything you wanted to add? Because I think that addresses your concern.
I'm good.
All right, cool, awesome. I think we're good. We'll continue.
I'm good.
Yeah, we'll continue at the Andromeda session, and we'll continue at future sessions. I mean, it's all like one step at a time. And remember, we're all here learning. You know, this is a learning experience, and nobody is getting booted anywhere. I mean, it would take a full vote of the entire organization to kick someone out. Even so, you know, one of the things people mentioned during this during the conflict evolution was, you know, that, oh, I'm just a worker. We're actually not all just workers, right? We actually are a worker-owned cooperative model. Every hour you work and you register in your work report is an hour of equity that you are earning in this network, and we're all owners. And as owners, we can't fire you. As an owner, you own a certain percentage of equity based on your contributions, and you will always have a vote at the membership level. So even if you're not getting paid and you get cut out of the budget, doesn't mean you still can't be involved, and doesn't mean you still have value in the organization. You can still vote on everything that happens, including voting and approving the board and who the executives are going to be and who is going to get hired. So yeah, we're all in this together for the long term, and there's a lot more people than us involved as well. They just don't participate on a day-to-day basis, which is why we are the ones who are publicly accountable. All right, I think we're good. Thank you, everybody. Lots of love, lots of blessings, hugs. Really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
Yes, thank you.
Take care, Jay.
Bye.
I'll see you tomorrow.
For sure.
I'll see if we're working tomorrow.